Part 292. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2923. At the same time, the area occupied by the Bi family's forces. The battle between the Orion Arm and the Bi family's front-line troops has officially begun. Those Orion Arm galaxy-level masters who had disappeared for several years emerged one by one as if they were reborn from the ashes, and charged towards the Bi family's troops, which had been greatly reduced in number. The killing caught the Bi family's front-line troops off guard. There are many people who are holding their heads and running away. What's even more exaggerated is that the masters of the Bi family's army seem to have vaguely learned something, and they began to flee immediately. This triggered a chain effect, and a large number of Bi family's troops began to flee and collapsed. However, the troops without a command were like fish without a command, and even their escape was chaotic. They were quickly commanded, and the powerful Orion Arm army connected head to tail. Needless to say, the enemies were extremely jealous when they met, not to mention that the enemy was still in the state of losing a family dog. The Orion Arm army showed no mercy and killed the Bi family allied forces everywhere. Even now, the number of strong men from the Bi family is still far greater than that of the Orion Arm. It's a pity that people's hearts have dispersed. With the news of the defeat of the young master of the Bi family, all the masters of the Bi family alliance have no intention of fighting anymore. Each leader retreats, fearing that he will be caught up by the Orion Arm Jiayan if he slips too late. Only senior domain masters can stop senior domain masters. A group of territory lords swarmed forward, and it was difficult for them to compete with the senior territory lord, let alone the senior territory lord with subspace talent. He was a lord who couldn't fight or escape. So it would be more correct to escape in time before Jiayan showed up. Lord Jiayan should be absorbing the harvest of the past few years. In fact, we also have a lot of harvest waiting to be harvested. This battle ends here. The Orions, who had been chasing for 3 to 5 days, stopped in unison with all their strength. It's not that they don't want to expand the results of their victory, but if they don't collect the huge gains before them, it would be against the true intentions of the strong. Therefore, after massacring a large number of Bi family's front-line troops as a warning, those strong men who came out of the creation world entered a state of seclusion one by one. Without this group of galaxy-level beings and above to guard them, the remaining masters of the Orion Arm did not dare to chase the enemy foolishly. After all, they would have to burp at the slightest presence of a galaxy-level being. As a result, the several battles that had just been sparked came to an end in an instant. People such as Qingling, although they did not gain huge energy when creating the world, they had more or less the power of the black and white gods poured into themselves. More importantly, they had the effect of understanding the world by analogy. Extremely unusual. Therefore, after killing the remaining troops of the Bi family at the border, they announced the retreat one after another. Otherwise, such a huge harvest would have been missed for no reason, and they would have regretted it for the rest of their lives. Kakaka. Deep in the 8th layer of subspace, there are twists and turns. However, even if it is so twisted, it cannot help a place where twists are gathered together. Inside this twisted gathering place, a very ingenious concept was used to stack the twists 7 horizontally and 8 vertically, and finally formed a very solid space. The power of the internal twists was almost isolated, which can be said to be a miraculous workmanship. Of course, there is no subspace talent, and it is absolutely impossible to do this on the 8th level of subspace. Jiayan can do it. Inside this sealed area, the terrifying giant mosquito stood out with its majestic body that was tens of kilometers long, and its compound eyes were filled with all kinds of brilliance. At this moment, his giant mosquito body did not look like its ordinary state, but seemed to have an extremely bright blue light, and the whole body was painted azure. The gorgeous color makes this compound eye faint. Kaka. The blue energy covering the surface formed a hard shell, which cracked slightly at this time. Soon, blue fragments sputtered around. The blue fragments that should have been sputtered to the outside world and swallowed by endless twisting were actually solidified in mid-air under the control of a certain energy, and then automatically gathered together and turned into a pile next to the giant mosquito's body. This small mutated shell is really a fine thing, and it would be a pity to abandon it. The huge compound eyes of the giant mosquito returned to dark color after the shell was completely burst. This was already 3 days after Jia Yan devoured half of the profits from creating the world. Several years of hard work were almost digested in 3 days. To be honest, Jia Yan still had some unfinished ideas. How much has your strength improved? He tried to observe the body and found that the appearance of the body did not change much and the size did not increase too much. He couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. However, these disappointments dissipated after he felt the power of his brain waves. He discovered that his brainwave power had grown amazingly compared to his appearance. If before, he had about 5 times the brainwave power level of an ordinary domain lord, then now after the battle to create the world, the superposition of black and white energy, plus insights and various gains, his brainwave power intensity has reached the level of an ordinary domain lord. 7 times the level of a domain lord. Don't underestimate this mere double enhancement. Because this is not 2 in numerical terms, but 2 in multiples. Even Jia Yan was a little incredible. This is the effect before I finish swallowing the body of the white dolphin with subspace talent. If I swallow the body of the senior domain master who has a cultivation method similar to mine, to what extent will I improve? Jia Yan was distracted for a moment. However, when he was distracted for a moment, he recovered and shook his head slightly. I'm thinking about it. Brainwave power is brainwave power. It devours his body and mainly grows on the body. I'm afraid it will have a superimposed effect on my body, but for the enhancement of brainwave power, I'm afraid it won't be that much. He knew that he was thinking too much, but the harvest would definitely not be smaller than the current harvest, or even greater. As I said before, only absorbing the income from the created world is about a little more than 1/3 of the total income, or close to half at best. The other half of the harvest will have to wait until he swallows the white dolphin's true body. Moreover, it is still an unsolved mystery whether there is anything extraordinary about the white dolphin's true form, and whether there are any special gains. There may be unexpected gains. Thinking of this moment, Jia Yan no longer tried to hide his inner desire. Leaving everything behind, he flew to a certain direction that he vaguely knew in his heart. They are the 2 gods of black and white. Everything they experienced in creating the world, including fighting and absorption, was all preparation for the 2 sides to merge with each other and eventually become one. To put it bluntly, even after creating the world, Jia Yan can easily absorb the energy of the white dolphin, and the white dolphin can turn everything about Jia Yan into its own. Even if Jia Yan is willing, he will hide his body and only use his brainwave power to talk to the Bai family. After hiding the part of the brainwave power attribute that belongs to Jia Yan, the Bai family will probably regard him as the white dolphin himself. But Jia Yan doesn't think about pretending. Giant mosquitoes are rampant in subspace. However, not long after flying, he came face to face with an extremely terrifying behemoth, mammoth and carrying endless power, rushing towards Jia Yan's direction. Jia Yan paused for a moment, then laughed. It's just the right time. After several years of creating the world, I actually forgot about its existence. Jia Yan foolishly rushed on his own, but forgot that he had the best subdimensional traveling artifact. A majestic city. The huge palace with a diameter of tens of thousands of kilometers flew smoothly from the 10th floor of the subspace with a lot of distortion until it reached Jia Yan's side, and then it slowed down. Welcome Didi. Master. Please come in. A mechanical and electronic synthesized sound sounded in the palace, making Jia Yan feel a little uncomfortable. The sound was familiar, but the mechanical feel in it made people feel uncomfortable. Because it was the intelligent brain that originally carried Edisha. Now the intelligence of Edisha's life form has left the intellectual brain and entered the new world of creation, causing this place to become an ordinary intelligent brain. In fact, this cannot be said. In fact, all the data of the former Edisha, including personality data, etc., are still backed up and stored inside the superbrain. It only takes a matter of minutes to bring back the familiar light and shadow mosquito intelligence brain Edisha to the world. However, this will cause serious ethical problems. For example, the world-creating Edisha comes out, and there are two Edishas with similar personalities. What will happen next? Will they quarrel? Another example is that after Zhineo has a personality, will he compete for the command of Edissa? These are all issues that Edisha had already considered before she split. So Jia Yan finally negotiated with Edisha to keep the brain in a basic state before Edisha returned from creating the world. Just an ordinary tool brain. Well, you did a good job knowing that you came to pick me up. Now let's set sail and go to the place I marked. Jia Yan jumped into the palace. A monster that was tens of kilometers in size seemed extremely small in a palace that was tens of thousands of kilometers away. This made him feel comfortable, because he was used to it in the created world, but when he first appeared in the real world, he was not used to being huge. Didi received the order, now change direction, coordinates x5 qd 332625532, move forward. Zhineo responded mechanically with Editha's childish little voice, and then the palace was shaken, turned around, and flew towards the direction indicated by Jia Yan. And it sinks into the 10th level of space, which is much more stable and convenient than Jia Yan flying by himself. Jia Yan just took advantage of these flying hours to feel the changes in his body in the palace. There are huge stones inside the main hall. He used to use them to exercise his mental strength when he was on the way to the palace. Well, this super heavy material is about 1/10 the weight of the moon, but I lifted it up easily. Jia Yan looked at the huge stone lifted up by his mental power. Although the stone was only 100 kilometers in size and carved to look like a decoration, it was something that Jia Yan specifically asked those forces in the Milky Way Central Star region to purchase for him. Extra heavy matter. There is a lot of super heavy matter in the universe. If you want it, the matter in a neutron star can easily exceed the weight of the Earth. The problem is that it is almost impossible for anyone to get it, at least among the current strong people. No one is heard of having that ability. The super heavy matter in Jia Yan's hand is not something from a neutron star. That's too exaggerated. It's nothing more than something collected from some dense planets. It's not that precious, and it's not a star core. But I haven't heard anyone say that it can be used to exercise mental strength. Even if someone uses it this way, it is definitely a small piece of super heavy material. Jia Yan directly lifted 1/10 the weight of the moon. It seems, is this still possible? Jia Yan became addicted to playing, because he realized that although the energy in his body used to be the majority, the energy snatched by the white dolphin was also quite large, and both sides complemented each other. After understanding it, his mind suddenly moved. I saw that the brainwave power moving the super heavy matter turned into two layers, upper and lower. The two layers of power belong to Jia Yan on one side, and on the other side they are devoured from the outside world and evolved into his own. Jia Yan never thought of completely mixing the two forces. That would make the two lose their unique characteristics. It would be better to just be so distinct. I saw those two layers of energy surging in the middle, not consuming each other, but acting outward. Click. The huge super heavy matter actually floated completely. Light as nothing. Jia Yan's brainwave was so powerful that he almost threw the entire super heavy material away. Hawkswan caught this substance. He didn't think that after it was out of his control, it would be as light as nothing. It would definitely cause big problems in the entire palace. Maybe the beautiful palace that he had not enjoyed for long would turn into a patchwork. The palace. Hiss, what is this? Feeling the brainwave power consumed by controlling matter, Jia Yan's eyes were filled with surprise. Because the energy consumed to lift this object now is only 30% of the energy consumed to lift it just now. Don't underestimate it, only 70% of your strength is reduced. It means that if Jia Yan does his research properly, he can, in a sense, his brainwave power has become more than twice as strong as before. This is already an indescribably terrifying harvest. After all, Jia Yan's brainwave power and mental power are stronger than ordinary people of the same level, more than twice as strong. No need to live at the same level. Although it can't be described as twice as much, after all, this is just lifting power. Maybe the impact and explosive power cannot be superimposed in this way, but doesn't that still need to be studied? After all, he is definitely much stronger than when he first woke up. Good thing. What a great thing. Feeling the brainwave power consumed by controlling matter, Jia Yan's eyes were filled with surprise. Because the energy consumed to lift this object now is only 30% of the energy consumed to lift it just now. Don't underestimate it, only 70% of your strength is reduced. It means that if Jia Yan studies it properly, his brainwave power can, in a sense, be more than twice as strong as it was before. This is already an indescribably terrifying harvest. After all, Jia Yan's brainwave power and mental power are stronger than ordinary people of the same level, more than twice as strong. No need to live at the same level. Although it can't be described as twice as much, after all, this is just lifting power. Maybe the impact and explosive power cannot be superimposed in this way, but doesn't that still need to be studied? After all, he is definitely much stronger than when he first woke up. Good thing. What a great thing. Although it can't be described as twice as much, after all, this is just lifting power. Maybe the impact and explosive power cannot be superimposed in this way, but doesn't that still need to be studied? After all, it is better than when I just woke up. TTP. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2924. What does this mean? If his spiritual power is twice as strong and he is still not at the next level, then he should scold the person who made the level classification. On the other hand, as long as the white dolphin is swallowed up, even if it doesn't work, it will be doubled. It seems, is there really a slight possibility of breaking through to Senior Domain Lord or above? Above the Senior Territory Lord, what will it be like when we reach that level, and what position will I be in this galaxy? Jia Yan was crazy for a moment. Eager. It was no less than the desire he had when he was a little mosquito, swallowing the mutant liquid. The giant palace is fast. Moving in a subspace of 10 degrees seems slow, but in fact the speed is no slower than Jia Yan's real body moving within 10 degrees. It is also stable and comfortable. Even if the speed requirements are higher in the future, there is still a lot of room for improvement. Jia Yan was very satisfied. The information from the Orion arm did not stay in the palace for too long before it was passed to Jia Yan by the special intelligence machine exiled from the palace. Well, the situation is indeed very good, so I don't need to worry too much. Knowing the outside intelligence, his only concern was completely suppressed. These joyful moods lasted until Jia Yan reached the place where he had some deep understanding. Soon, Jia Yan was driving the palace and came to the place where the white dolphin was found dead. His eyes were stunned, and then he was filled with anger and seemed to be about to explode. I rushed here full of joy. I was already about 10 light years away from the Orion arm. I hurriedly rushed, but in vain. Good. Lost. Surprisingly, Jia Yan still felt the strong artistic conception of the white dolphin at about the 8th floor of the subspace. Is it his heart? Humph. Do you know that the way of communication between us is the heart? Who is responsible? Could it be that everything was done by the white dolphin earlier? Jia Yan felt gloomy in his heart. Because when he came to the deep level of the subspace where the white dolphin's body was supposed to be stored, he found that this place was empty. As a result, he was struck by lightning. After working so hard for so many years, although I have harvested about half of the expected harvest, most of what I should have received has been lost for no reason. It is like losing most of my heart and soul, and no one can bear it. The white dolphin is cheating? Or is he not dead yet? No. His heart is here. Even a strong person with a senior domain lord level is destined to not survive if his heart is left in the outside world for a long time. Jia Yan looked sinister for a long time and looked around the 8th level space. The surroundings are so desolate, and those who can reach the 8th level space must reach the strength of the domain lord in terms of strength, otherwise they will not be able to persist here at all. Even those with strong subspace talents need to be at the galaxy level. Such subspace talents will definitely not be borrowed from Wuming. If I had known earlier, I should have negotiated a more definite method with the white dolphin instead of losing most of my harvest for no reason. Jia Yan felt a little regretful. But even if the body of the white dolphin disappears, there is still a very important heart in the entire body of the white dolphin. Just collect some interest. I absolutely need his body. Even if I devour the bodies of other strong men of the same level, it will never be as effective as the white dolphin that is fused with my energy. If you still want to find another one, by a similar opportunity, I have to search for a subspace talent with similar strength to mine among countless strong people, and then trick him into entering a similar world of creation, and finally win him. There are so many prerequisites, it's overwhelming just thinking about it. It's so big, it's easier to search for the remains of white dolphins. Jia Yan will never give up the white dolphin body, because it is what he deserves. This kind of harvest is too great. If we look at star cores, even though star core materials are the most nourishing items that Jia Yan has previously thought, from his point of view, the body of a white dolphin is worth hundreds of star cores and even possesses the characteristics of a galaxy. There are many advantages and benefits that cannot be described by star core. In other words, for Jia Yan, a possessor of similar energy, the body of a white dolphin is a supreme secret medicine, one that is rarely seen again in the entire galaxy. Puff. The fiery red flesh and blood substance that was deliberately left in the stable space inside the twisted subspace was directly taken out by Jia Yan. Without saying a word, Jia Yan casually created a space that was enough to wrap himself and flesh and blood. In the quiet space, Jia Yan spit out the needle and stabbed it on the flesh and blood. A large amount of blue substance gushes out from the mouth parts, then fuses with the heart of the white dolphin, and then decomposes into particle-like nutrients, and then transforms into the purest energy, which enters Jia Yan's body. The giant mosquito let out a long, happy groan. The whole body turned into a clear blue again. It's so happy, so happy. It was so refreshing. The most suitable power in the world for him is probably the energy transformed from the flesh and blood of the white dolphin he is currently devouring. No wonder the white dolphin worked tirelessly to kill and devour Jia Yan, because this kind of devouring almost completely plunders the opponent's energy. Although it took some effort and there were many unstable factors, the white dolphin still used the Bai family's full strength to do it. It just doesn't feel good to eat, and it only has one heart. Jia Yan absorbed it for a short moment, and his body strength steadily improved a little, but he was vaguely stuck in front of a certain threshold, causing him to be unable to go up or down, which was extremely uncomfortable. Ping. The giant heart-shaped object at the front of his mouth turned into dust particles after being absorbed, and flew into the twisted space, where it was quickly swallowed up by the space and swept away. Jia Yan's eyes were full of confusion. Flying into the 10,000-kilometer palace again, he turned on the communication function of Jinao. I need to go to investigate the whereabouts of the white dolphin body, and continue to increase and expand its strength. You can drive the bi-family forces out of the Orion arm for the time being. Without the senior domain master, they will not be entangled anymore. If it is not good, if you want to drive people away, then wait until I come back to take care of them. No need to look for me. Jia Yan sent the message. It was absolutely impossible for him to give up searching for the body of the white dolphin. It would be like asking him to give up the huge opportunity he had received. As a giant mosquito who struggled with everything, how could he do such a thing? Simply search for information here, find out where the white dolphin's body is, and after devouring those remains, maybe he will really advance. It seems that my strength really wants to break through a certain barrier. This feeling of being stuck at the barrier is too uncomfortable. Jia Yan was a little crazy. Ji, now, you analyze the traces in the space and see if you can analyze the strength and appearance of the person who stole the corpse. Yes. Zhineo used Adisha's cute voice, but it didn't sound cute and quickly got into working mode. Jia Yan, however, began to meditate uneasily. It was quite unaccustomed to have a body that was 30 kilometers long and suddenly come back. But he didn't have time to adapt to the physical body, because before that, he had to adapt to the sudden increase in terrifying power. What's more, he was more concerned about where the white dolphin's body was. This had become a big problem that made him sleepless and eating. Because he was stuck at the pass, he could vaguely feel that if he swallowed the remaining body of the white dolphin, his strength might really have a chance to break through this invisible obstacle. By then, he might be above the senior domain lords. Of course, if I am above the senior territory lord by then, it means that I am stuck at the top of the senior territory lord. When Jia Yan thought about this, he felt a little happy in his heart. After all, it has only been a long time since he became a senior domain master. The water in the senior domain lord level is actually quite deep. He once saw in Biostar that the division between senior domain lord strength levels is very complicated. Some powerful senior domain lords at the top can attack within 10 moves. Killing another senior domain lord, of course, depends on whether the talents are mutually reinforcing. In short, if he is stuck at the top of the senior territory lord, even if the white dolphin body has been secretly used elsewhere, with his current strength, it can be said that he can travel around the entire galaxy, and even the 4 major giants like the North Superstar can safely go up there. Senior Territory Lord level, in terms of North Star's appearance, is also a first-class expert, and the masters of many national forces are the top senior territory lords. Thinking about it this way, I don't need to be too angry. At least I have gained enough. However, it is impossible for me to give up because of the meat in my mouth. Just when Jia Yan was clearing up his thoughts and not going crazy with anger, Zhineo's reply came. Master, the traces have been analyzed. The suspected prisoner is a domain master level expert. He fled in that direction. Ji now has mapped out a fairly simple roadmap. Jia Yan was startled, but he didn't expect Zhineo to be quite efficient. Open the virtual screen and look at the patterns on it, and your eyes suddenly light up. On the route map given by Zhineo, the prisoner's traces followed the white dolphin in this subspace body area. It took about 10 minutes to leave his heart here, and finally deliberately eliminated the traces, fled away. That direction seems to be the Northern Territory. But no one is sure whether this guy will turn around on the way. Zhineo is not capable of tracking someone deep in subspace. Jia Yan is very clear about the capabilities of smart computers. The prisoner's whereabouts could be found in this area with many traces because he stayed for a long time and left a large number of traces. And if it is tracking in subspace, it would be a bit whimsical. Not to mention whether they can catch up with the other party's departure speed, but to say that they have been walking for so long. With the ability of subspace to self-repair, it is very difficult to detect a trace. It may be said that it is impossible to detect at all. Master, the Northern Territory intelligence has been sent, do you want to display it? Show it? Jia Yan discovered that this emotionless Edisha brain was vaguely more efficient than the previous Edisha. After all, the previous light and shadow mosquito always liked to chirp a few words, causing Jia Yan to be confused. I don't really like asking for information from it. Now this smart brain is just for business, and it's smart enough to send information to Jia Yan's screen, which is really easy to use. Of course, Jia Yan has also read the Milky Way intelligence, saying that some technological civilizations rely too much on the intelligence brain because of the strong processing power of the intelligence brain, and eventually turn into worms who can only think. As a result, according to the judgment of the intelligence brain, there was a problem with the logic processing, and the entire civilization was immediately exterminated. It itself became a certain form of civilization continuation body, which was logically consistent, and is still wandering in the Milky Way starry sky. It's better to have Edisha. Jia Yan thought of this and talked to himself while observing the information. However, the current Zinao does not know how to retort and has no emotions of his own. Jia Yan didn't know whether to talk to it or not. Yes, Jia Yan misses Disha. There is no need to go to the Northern Territory. Before going to the Northern Territory, let's go to the rear of the Bai family. Jia Yan did not rush into the so-called Northern Territory recklessly. From the perspective of his understanding, the Northern Territory should be a place like the central galaxy of the Milky Way or a black hole area. It may be much weaker, but the territory is definitely not very small. Searching for people there by chasing shadows is tantamount to finding a needle in a haystack. No matter how you look at it now, the Bai family is the most suspect. So the first target station is the Bai family. Boom. Inside the subspace, the palace started up, and the extremely terrifying interstellar engine began to emit thunderous and shocking energy, pushing this 10,000-kilometer behemoth to move rapidly in the twisted space. The so-called Bai family. In fact, it is not just the Bai family. In a broad sense, the Bai family's power refers to the advanced interstellar space that is 3 star fields away from the Orion Arm. The territory is vast, even if the Orion Arm unites with more than a dozen surrounding star power territories, it cannot compare to a behemoth of its size. However, the power relations among them are intricate and extremely complex. The Bai family is just the strongest one. Rather than being the co-leader of the Bai family, it is better to say that it is some kind of alliance leader that everyone has publicly recommended. For example, in the oldest era of Huaxia, the Xia, Shang, and Zhou dynasties, there were nobles under the king. Although everyone worked together with the Bai family, they were relatively independent. It is such a loose alliance that forms the current grandeur of the Bai family. Their strength and reputation cover the surrounding area for thousands of light years. Even in the Northern Territory, there are many areas of influence of the Bai family. But that was the Bai family in the past. It was the glory created by the previous generation of the old Bai family, the former lord. The current Bai family, due to the death of the older generation, has gradually entered a decline under the leadership of the young master of the Bai family. Especially recently, the Bai family inexplicably said that they were going to attack the Orion Arm, which is thousands of light years away. This made the entire Bai family complain. After all, the most uncomfortable thing for the Bai family in a war in such a remote area is the logistical support. The family has already gone downhill, and if you continue to do this, you will cause a huge financial deficit again for no reason. And what's even more difficult for the Bai family to accept is, the young master fought as hard as he could, but you brought so many people together, and instead of attacking with all your strength, you surrounded the Orion Arm and put pressure on the so-called evolved beast clan, forcing them to enter the creation world, engaging in a mental battle with the white dolphin. On the contrary, he had a whim and devoured the enemy's spiritual power and flesh to enhance his personal strength. But countless troops stayed in the Orion Arm outer network, and every day's logistics and finances were spent like water. The fight lasted for several years, and the Bai family was on the verge of collapse. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2925. Failed, how could it be defeated? We are defeated like a mountain. Now that the Bai family is weak, we must think of a way out as soon as possible. According to me, quitting the Bai family is just like joining the Bai family. In a place shrouded in black mist, many powerful people were discussing in a loud voice. If the strong men in the Orion arm could see them, they would understand that they were the same group of strong men above the galaxy level who had fought fiercely with the Orion in the past. Even though the young master of the Bai family was defeated and suffered a violent death, the overall strength of the Bai family was not significantly affected. The Bai family is too big. There are more than 10 territory lords under my control, and there are many powerful hermits in the star territory under my control. If Lin Lin finally comes, I am afraid that even 20 territory lords may not be able to defeat them. Otherwise, will these starry sky alliances led by dignified senior domain lords be restrained? The number of the galaxy class below can easily reach hundreds, and the number of nameless people is huge. Only some people who were willing to listen to the Bai family's call came to this battle, but there were also 5 domain lords. Except for the middle-aged man who was killed at the end of the creation of the world, 2 of the other 4 were old men who had been sent out previously. In the first generation, there are still 2 people who have not entered the world of creation, and have not even appeared in the previous siege of the Orion arm. In fact, this group of people seemed to be filled with indignation, but their expressions were not as frightened and violent as expected. The young master has no heirs. There are probably relatives in the Bai family, but whether to find a relative to inherit the mantle of the Bai family, this group of people have a lot of worries in their hearts. As for the Orion arm, little things. Not to mention whether the Bai family has really tried their best, but there are still 5 domain lord level experts present, and there are many galaxy level experts, plus ordinary troops and methods to deal with powerful people. There is no reason for them to be afraid of so many. In a real life and death battle, even if Jia Yan has a senior domain lord, the Bai family will try their best and still cannot be stopped by the Orion arm. At least that's how it seems to them now. Just wait and analyze to what extent Jia Yan will grow with the blessing of the young master's power. Suddenly, an old-time territory lord asked calmly. This sentence interrupted everyone's discussion. Jia Yan's matter was just like solving the young master's name. Everyone present had not mentioned it much. Even though the army was still being hunted on the edge of the Orion arm, they had already withdrawn to the rear and had plans to retreat. In my heart, Jia Yan's matter is like a distant name, insignificant. That Jia Yan, it's hard to say, but this person's strength is indeed the strongest we have ever seen. Compared with the young master, he must be no worse. There was an old man who looked like a turtle and said with thoughtful eyes. This turtle monster was the domain lord level master who was designed to be killed by Jia Yan and others during the small world battle that created the world. No, according to my opinion, Jia Yan should have surpassed the young master before the war. Of course, he and the young master are at least the same, so he will follow the young master's plan and enter the created world to seek victory. Another person held the opposite opinion. The man who spoke calmly, after pondering for a moment, shook his head. You are asking whether his strength will be greatly improved after he has obtained the young master's spiritual power. If he reaches a deeper level as a senior domain master, I am afraid he will really become a member of my Bai family. It's taboo. How is it possible? It is not that simple for a strong person to improve his strength. The old man Wogui smiled and said, as domain masters, you and I are not too far from the senior domain. In your opinion, is there such a thing as a person who can advance so quickly that he surpasses many at the same level just by devouring other people? Even though the young master was ambitious when he formulated this strategy, in my opinion, it is still like a child's playhouse. It's all in vain. The rest of the people waiting nearby seconded the proposal. In this meeting, which was only attended by the strong, in fact, almost all the attendees were the older generation of the bi-family alliance. It can be said that they had no respect for the white dolphin, and no one agreed with the white dolphin's previous theory. Therefore, they are not optimistic about whether Jia Yan can be improved from the white dolphin body. Seniors, you must not underestimate Jia Yan. The seniors did not see the young master's final bloody battle, but I did. It can be said that the young master showed his strongest posture. However, under Jia Yan's various calculations and abilities, there is still no doubt that he will be killed by him. If you treat him as the same existence as the young master, you will definitely suffer big losses in the future. Suddenly an uncomfortable voice sounded. The person who spoke was a domain lord level powerhouse who looked like a birdman. This birdman domain master level powerhouse is a middle-aged man who accompanied the white dolphins in the creation world until the final stage of the battle. His true body is from the birdman clan. Haha, who is it? It turns out to be the bird king of the border. What's wrong? Are you afraid of being beaten by Jia Yan? Some of the older generation had a slight look of ridicule on their faces. This strong birdman was invited by the white dolphin when he passed by the border of the bi-family area. I didn't expect that he would be willing to swim in this muddy water, but I didn't expect that he agreed and accompanied the white dolphin in the fight. To the last minute. This group of powerful seniors now have some opinions on this young domain lord who was not very prominent in the first place. The strong man on the border is not part of the bi-family's power center. However, this bird king personally fought with the young master until the last moment. If he works with intention, he may become the old domain lord present when carving up the interests of the bi-family in the future. Stumbling block. Sorry, I haven't fought against Jia Yan personally. I can't say whether I'm afraid or not. The bird-like strong man's eyes turned gloomy, but I know that this person has great terror and is known as an evolved beast. There is also a few words recorded in my birdman family. This race's devouring ability is the best in the world. If this person can kill another senior territory lord level devours and digests, not to mention all, but only uses the upper half of the energy to push its strength to an unimaginable level. If all the seniors continue to despise him, one day they will encounter Jia Yan and be brutally murdered. Don't, it's my fault for not reminding you. Haha. Another senior level domain master laughed, swallowed and evolved. It is not that simple. So what if he can swallow all the energy of the young master? It is just energy, not something that can advance the power of the body. As a strong person, you need to consider the reality when looking at things, rather than just follow what others say, let alone be frightened casually. If your bird tribe didn't have this kind of temperament, how could you be such a big family and be hidden in the border? It's really shocking boring. The bird king was about to speak but stopped, feeling that he was being despised. Suddenly, his eyes wandered and he stopped talking. If you continue to make irresponsible remarks, I am afraid that you will be squeezed out by the mainstream strong men of the Bai family, and the bird clan, which is not so smooth, may fall into an even more miserable abyss. Actually. Suddenly someone spoke in the darkness. The strong men went out looking for fame one by one. I don't know when, but inside this shady place, there was an equally majestic and huge figure like them. The figure said lightly, "What Brother Bird King is worried about is not unreasonable, but I have already started to do what he wants. Everyone, if you can forgive me for doing something that has gone beyond the reach of others, I will. There is a strategy that is destined to make Jia Yan furious, wasting several years and gaining very little." Huh? Is it you? What's your plan? Let's take a look. The conversation hidden in the distant place of Orion's arm was temporarily inaudible to Jia Yan. He was just speeding away from the Orion arm border. escaping the location where the body of the white dolphin was taken away. The huge and majestic palace moves within the subspace as if walking on flat ground, which allows Jia Yan to continue to feel the energy. Master, that power ends here, and it is difficult for the brain to calculate it. I understand, let's head directly towards the area where the Bai family is. In fact, after tracking it, we should roughly know that the person who stole my harvest is from the Bai family. On this day, Jia Yan was awakened from his practice by Hineo. After nodding, he ordered Hineo to rush towards the area where the Bai family was located as planned. This was his original plan, but he could still find traces of carrying the white dolphin carcass along the way, so he asked the palace to continue the pursuit and analysis. If there were other discoveries, he could make timely changes to the route. But judging from today's situation, the trip to the Bai family must go on. Moreover, the Orion arm was beaten to its current state by the opponent, which was a waste of money and people. If he didn't take revenge, Jia Yan wouldn't be called Jia Yan anymore. It would be best to eliminate the hidden dangers of the Bai family once and for all. However, Nyoda's star field cannot be solved by him alone. Even if he can reach the top of the senior domain master, he will never reach the level where he can easily slaughter large swaths of the starry sky, because even if he can do it ruthlessly, the speed will definitely be very high. Slowly, and when the news comes out, other powerful people will not sit idly by and do nothing. Just like Jia Yan is currently sitting in the Orion arm, if the surrounding star field is massacred, he will not sit idly by and do nothing. The land of the Bai family. The closest point is thousands of light years away in the Orion arm. There are two major star field forces that need to shuttle in the middle. Of these two major forces, one intersects with the Orion arm and participated in the siege of the Orion arm. Jia Yan Hasheng taught him a lesson. This time, he recognized the reality and was not forced by the Bai family forces to join the other side. Another major force, Jia Yan, was slightly surprised in a certain area when he flew by the palace because he felt a powerful aura. This is the breath of a domain lord. It should not be underestimated. There are probably two major domain lord levels among this force. No wonder it can maintain its relative autonomy despite being bordered by the Bai family. After Jia Yan felt it, he stopped caring about it. After all, no matter how strong the territory lord was, it was only an ordinary territory lord. He was a senior territory lord, and he could destroy the two territory lords on the Orion arm with just one hand. In fact, Jia Yan has roughly analyzed the power situation around the Orion arm, and he still has a lot of size. After the energy of the Orion arm was blocked, it also affected the surrounding star field. For hundreds of thousands of years, the strength was generally affected, and it continued until the Bai family area became prosperous again. The Star Academy further away is, to put it bluntly, inextricably linked to the Bai family. A sum of money was provided by the Bai family and many other surrounding star field forces. After seeing too much, Jia Yan smiled bitterly to himself. Not only the Bai family, but also the network of relationships between these star fields is like a spider web. Let's just say that in the stellar academic field he visited earlier, not only the Bai family was among the funding forces, but also powerful people such as the Zerg Queen also invested. Pulling it down further, none of the surrounding forces have anything to do with it. As for his Orion arm, he was just starting out and was alone. He was besieged and slandered by others. After thinking about it, he was actually not targeting them, but an unfamiliar force. These star domain forces would definitely have an exclusive mentality. Just like the current Orion arm, if a star field that has been banned for many years appears around him, will Jia Yan feel worried and want to keep a distance from him? Or even remove this hidden danger? Those two domain lords must have sensed that my palace is approaching the Bai family realm. I hope that their speed of reporting the news will not be as fast as my arrival. After Jia Yan felt the auras of the two domain lord level powerhouses, he had no intention of hiding the information about his majestic flight to the Bai family. The palace is so big, if he were to fly alone in the 10-dimensional space, he might be able to hide the domain lord level powerhouse, but the palace. The subspace ripples caused by the guy at the 10,000 kilometer level may even be felt by the stronger mid-level galaxy. Let alone the domain lord level. So he only hoped that the two domain lords could slow down the transmission of information about his rush to the Bai family. After all, it is said that it borders the Bai family, not the Orion arm. It is common sense to pass on unexpected information to the neighbors. But Jia Yan also knew that expecting the two domain lords not to report his situation was overthinking. When his giant palace flew towards the border of the Bai family, a group called the Bird Clan Force, there were several teams of strong men waiting for his arrival at the border. Oh! Are there strong troops gathering in front? It seems they are to greet me. Jia Yan learned from Ji now that there were troops waiting to greet him, and he immediately understood that the other party was coming for him. He didn't care. If the Bai family's forces were monolithic, the Orion arm might have been destroyed long ago, and their performance when creating the world would not have been so miserable. So when he entered the fringe of the Bai family's alliance, he didn't worry about being surrounded at all. This was also true. When he saw the so-called welcoming team, he had already smiled slightly. As expected. The team that greets him is a group of large or small bird creatures. This group of bird creatures, some as strong as mid-level galaxies, some as weak as even venerables, each flew through the void, standing proudly on the border of power, feeling the interior of the subspace with solemn eyes. So when he entered the fringe of the Bai family's alliance, he didn't worry about being surrounded at all. This was also true. When he saw the so-called welcoming team, he had already smiled slightly. As expected. The team that greets him is a group of large or small bird creatures. This group of bird creatures are as strong as mid-level galaxies, and as weak as Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2926. A huge palace thousands of kilometers away. This is already extremely impressive in the starry sky. At least in this starry sky, no one has heard of such a giant building. None in the Northern Territory. Not to mention, this huge building that is thousands of kilometers long is still inside the 10th floor of subspace. Objects that can travel in subspace are already quite rare. Needless to say, things that can move within 10 degrees of subspace are unheard of. The superposition of two different places is even more unimaginable. The palace, which is thousands of kilometers long, is majestic in the subspace, roaring quickly to the subspace in this starry sky. I respectfully invite you to meet Your Excellency. The bird people in the starry sky calmed down. After a few people looked at each other, they shouted loudly and released their mid-level galactic strength to severely block the behemoth in the starry sky. There was a boom. Although this power is extremely powerful, it is still powerless to stop a giant object that is thousands of kilometers away and is an object within 10 dimensions of space. It is almost like a mantis using its arms as a cart. They can also be regarded as knowing everything about destiny. But what frightened them was that the giant palace deep in the subspace seemed to be really blocked by them at the first moment. It was blocked by power, slowing down its forward speed. After using the inertia to move forward for thousands of kilometers, the palace stopped dead, and a majestic aura rose in the palace. Everyone, I am just passing through this place, why are you blocking my way? The sound was like rolling thunder, crackling throughout the sky, causing all the powerful bird tribesmen in the area to stagger one by one, and a feeling of turmoil rose in everyone's heart. What a terrifying brainwave power! Does the Territory Lord exist? No. It seems to be more than that. The leader of my clan is also a Territory Lord. He is stronger than ordinary Territory Lords, but his aura is far less powerful than this person's. Then this. Just when the bird tribe beings were horrified and confused, a figure flew out of the palace, but it was a 1-kilometer monster similar to the bird tribe beings. Who are you waiting for, and why did you attack this palace? Hearing that this bird-man-like monster looked somewhat similar to himself and others, the strong men of the bird tribe felt a little fond of him. I'm afraid that the strong man sitting in the palace has no ill intentions. Otherwise, how could he send a strong man who looks similar to them to contact him and others? Hello, distinguished guests, we are the bird clan entrenched in this starry sky. In front of us is our bird clan's territory, and our bird clan is attached to the bi-family alliance. In this borderland, the bird clan's duty is to control the main roads, and it is bound to. We can't allow anyone to enter the bi-family easily, it's our duty, and I ask my friends and seniors just now to forgive me. Although they felt that the bird-like monster that flew out was not very strong, the strength of the being who just spoke was definitely beyond the level of an ordinary domain lord. If he really wanted to take action, everyone present would not be strong enough to kill him. So be polite. As we all know, politeness is based on strength. Tisk, tisk, bird tribe. Jia Yan sighed a few words, but did not continue. This bird monster is naturally one of his clones. Although coming to Bai's house to search for the body of the white dolphin is bound to lead to a fierce battle, he does not want to start killing here now. In the borderland, no matter how stupid the thief is, there is no way he can hide important things here. Fighting here feels good, but it only scares the snake. Then what if you want to get this palace? Could it be that you go around your bi-family's territory? This kind of thing has no end, because in other directions, it must be the territory of other forces. Jia Yan pretended to be an ordinary strong man whose path was blocked, and his heart was filled with resentment. Don't dare. My friend, please tell your seniors. If you are willing, you can leave your seniors' names and affiliations, etc., and we will naturally let them go. With our release notice, we can conduct subspace operations in the bi-family area. Will also be acquiesced, of course this is timely. The strong men of the bird tribe were probably experienced and told them the detailed rules. They were arranged to guard the border in this area, and they must have come into contact with a lot of immigrants. Maybe not many from the subspace, and probably even fewer with such a huge palace, but the things are always similar. The bird tribesmen who originally proposed to report the matter quickly shut their mouths after being hinted by several people. The Bai family has been in chaos recently. It was so chaotic that they reported several times to ask about the status of their bird tribe leader, but were ignored. Some senior officials even made sarcastic comments, implying that their leader must have died on the front line on the Orion arm. In short, the bird clan's position in the Bai family's power is indeed worrying. It would be better not to report it. You can just decide for yourself, and you can even pocket the recent customs clearance fees. Anyway, maybe it won't be long before people's minds change and the Bai family alliance will fall apart, and they will have more funds to build their homes. Is this enough for customs clearance? This palace is not small. After Jia Yan's Birdman clone filled in false identity information and forged the identity of a traveling strongman, he received an extremely warm welcome and was exempted from a lot of customs clearance fees. Nonsense. Bird people are not fools. This palace can travel within 10 dimensions of space. Regardless of wealth, the strength of a strong man who can control such things is beyond the imagination of the bird tribe. Want to offend people by charging them expensive customs clearance fees? It's almost like courting death. Thank you very much. By the way, the lord of this palace has just checked your power. It seems to be an alliance power. I wonder if there are some special products trading here. As you know, most of the income of the traveling powerhouse comes from traveling. Goods are sold. Jia Yan's Birdman clone asked these questions again during the chat. The other party didn't have any doubts. There is no shortage of traveling experts in the galaxy, but of course they have never seen anyone above the domain lord level. However, there are many weak and powerful traveling types. When they were weak enough to reach the Earth level, they began to travel and do business within the planet. After that, the starry sky level dared to drive spaceships around several major planets, and even the stellar level, with starry sky voyage with the ability, they can travel among the forces of the galaxy. These strong people can be found everywhere. They can not only make money through business, but also increase their knowledge and make life more interesting and meaningful. After all, not everyone only values strength. Many strong people have their own hobbies and fun. Some strong people even regard becoming stronger as a means of growth, and their main business is various hobbies. We, the bird tribe, are short of a lot of supplies. I wonder what kind of good stuff there is in the palace of our senior. We have a lot of goods, but I'm afraid you won't be able to afford them. Jia Yan's Birdman clone smiled, then opened his brain and listed a large number of goods that could be sold. After seeing this, the powerful bird tribe members all gasped. You know, most of Jia Yan's supplies come from the Milky Way Central Star region. Even though most of them were used when the Orion Arm fought with the Bai family's troops, the rest were all too high-level goods that the Orion Arm could not use. Many of them were still effective against the current Jia Yan's things. What can the mere power that guards the gate for the Bai family afford? This, doesn't it contain the promotion thing that I urgently need? Star core? Although it is a fake star core, it is still a star core. Some people were already short of breath. Okay, if you want to buy it, we can trade it now. If you don't want to buy it, our palace will rush forward. After all, our original intention is not to stay with your Bai family. Jia Yan's clone didn't give them much time and directly collected the list of supplies. He knew that he couldn't be too proactive about this kind of thing. If he was too proactive, it would definitely cause confusion on the other side. It is better to let the other party take the initiative. No. My friend, there are a few items in your supply list that our bird tribe must obtain. I wonder if the price can be negotiated or bartered. Oh? Do you, the bird clan, also want to buy? That's fine, but my palace can't wait for you. I'll give you 2 days at most, or you can gather buyers. The more buyers we have, the longer we'll have to wait. After all, where here there is capital, and what we are selling can be revealed, and I don't mind. Jia Yan nodded without hesitation. The effect he wants is that the more people in the Bai family know about this traveling powerhouse, the better. And the time has to be quick. The bird tribe already knew the palace they were riding in, and Jia Yan, the strongest person in the Orion Arm, also had such a palace. It wouldn't take long for his identity to be exposed. But during this period, he should be able to get a lot of information about the body of the white dolphin, and maybe he has already obtained it. As for the possibility that the bird tribe doesn't care about what he's selling? Impossible. The list he took out was all urgently needed by strong people above the galaxy level, especially hard currency like star cores. It was impossible for a strong person not to be tempted by it. The strong men of the bird clan soon left happily. Jia Yan's clone returned to the subspace. There are also some strong men from the bird tribe who stay outside the subspace and seem to be observing the behemoths deep in the subspace. Now it is no longer a question of whether the palace will force its way into the Bai family, but whether they will slip away. After all, none of them saw the messenger from the palace take out any belongings. If he was playing tricks on them and slipped away without noticing, the work of the bird tribe would have been in vain. But fortunately, this palace is still sitting quietly in the deep subspace. It has even moved from the 10th degree to the 7th degree, and many devices can observe it. This also made everyone in the bird tribe breathe a sigh of relief. Many galaxy-level powerhouses began to scramble to raise funds from friends and relatives. Not enough. It's definitely not enough. The value of that star core far exceeds the materials I can borrow. It seems that I have to borrow from more people, but this will easily exceed the territory of the bird clan. If other powerful people in the bi-family alliance area know about it, wouldn't it be possible to ruin my good deeds? But I can't control that much. If I borrow enough to buy a pseudo-star core, it may open up the possibility of my next stage of strength. As the strong men of the bird clan had to temporarily borrow supplies from other strong men of the Bai family, the news that mysterious wandering strong men came to the bird clan quickly spread throughout the entire Bai family alliance, as if it had grown wings. The Bai family alliance is not small when it comes to being small, but it is just that big when it comes to being big. It's only about 10 times bigger than the Orion arm. Ordinary people are called billions, but the powerful and high-level people only have such a small circle. Soon many people knew. The bird clan's borderland intercepted an extremely powerful traveling man. Any great supplies deals. But, subspace talent? Is it a talent similar to the young master? It's weird, but the materials he proposed to trade are making people jealous. Even if there is weirdness, what kind of conspiracy can it be? I must participate in such a grand event. If I miss a treasure like the Star Core for no reason, it's the only one I can wait for. The biggest regret. As a strong man, he can even do business with enemies, let alone trade with people of unknown origin. There are so many strong people who can do anything to become stronger. The time soon came to the third day. My friend, although we haven't collected a few supplies yet, we have gathered a group of strong buyers. Look at the purchase wish list of this group of strong buyers. I wonder if this can be exchanged for you and the palace. How long will you stay? A strong traveler is destined to stay in a place without business for a short time. After the agreed 3 days, several strong men from the bird tribe gathered together supplies. However, the wealth that could be traded for these supplies was simply not enough to attract a strong master of domain lord level or above. How long would they stay in this barren land? They obtained a purchase list signed by many powerful members of the Bai family. Find bookstore. This list was made by many strong men from the bird tribe, who persuaded them to sign it. The original intention of the bird clan was to let Jia Yan stay on the border where the bird clan was. When they go to other places in the Bai family, they have to move around and are not flexible enough. For example, if the strong seniors sitting in the palace want something unique, even if their bird tribe owns it, they are far away and want to go back and get it. It's too late, wouldn't you miss out on the treasure? So they tried their best to persuade as many other powerful people from the Bai family alliance as possible. Is this the purchase list? You can let this palace stay for another half-month. However, after half a month, if the transaction volume does not reach the expected figure, this palace has the right to ask for compensation from the noble race. This is already for the sake of you and me. In the face of racial similarities, is the noble willing to agree? Jia Yan's clone, Birdman, pretended to be hesitant and agreed to the other party's request, giving him half a month's time. To be honest, half a month is not enough time for the powerful men from other parts of the Bai family alliance to rush to the border, but it is enough time for them to use various methods to transport supplies. And these supplies will definitely not be available in time. That would reveal the truth. Jia Yan is waiting, because he can lock in the information related to the disappearance of the white dolphin's body through the performance of certain events. Soon, several strong men from the bird tribe got the treasures they dreamed of. Barter. To be honest, Jia Yan made a profit from selling items such as his self-made star cores, which also allowed him to see the possibility of having a galaxy adventure in this way in the future. However, it is too early to think so much now. At least before the physical body goes further, Jia Yan's first goal is to find out the guy who stole the white dolphin's physical body. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2927. Half a month. I hope that during this half month, my true identity will not be exposed, or even if it is exposed, no one will hinder me. What Jia Yan is most worried about is not that his identity is exposed, because if his identity is exposed, others will not think that he is a threat. What he was worried about was that if the war information about the Orion arm spread to the Bi-Family Alliance, the entire alliance would be in chaos, and he knew that he was the one who killed the White Dolphin, and what bad things would happen. It's best if it doesn't interfere with him finding the thief. Otherwise, he will have no choice but to be tough. It just so happened that Jia Yan wanted to try out the improvement after increasing his strength. Generally speaking, Jia Yan is an upright person who doesn't like to hide his head and show his tail. Unless the enemy can pose a great threat to himself, under normal circumstances, why should he hide? Soon, more than 10 days passed quickly. During these days, the entire Bai family's territory was full of turmoil and panic. The news of the death of the White Dolphin finally came. Although the Bai family had already expected this, the fact was before their eyes, and there were still a lot of undercurrents surging. For example, what will happen next for the Bai family? The decline of the Bai family is a certainty. Break up, or continue to live together. Some of the powerful leaders who have joined forces sit on the sidelines and wait until the truth comes to light before they make a decision. Some hardliners have made plans to draft a process to break away from the Bai family's influence. There are still some forces who insist that they cannot break away from the Bai family, otherwise the people will be dispersed and this area may be plunged into a long war. Amidst these undercurrents, it is great news that a strong man whose real strength may exceed the domain lord level comes to the Bai family border. The Bai family alliance does not have the senior domain master in charge, and its confidence is weaker when facing the senior domain master. While they were entertaining the senior domain lord happily, many interested people became weird in their hearts. Subspace talent. And it has a huge palace that can come and go freely in the subspace. This looks a bit like Jia Yan, the strongest evolved beast with the Orion arm that the Bai family was dealing with earlier. Today, within the Bai family alliance, there are many people with ulterior motives, which has also led to those who have seen Jia Yan's true identity and resisted exposing Jia Yan's identity. They want to contact other friends to assess the situation and see how to deal with this discovery. As for those who have not discovered Jia Yan's identity, no one will care. Whether they were injured by Jia Yan taking the opportunity, or played by Jia Yan in the applause, it has nothing to do with them. In short, during the half-month period when Jia Yan was slightly nervous, his true identity was surprisingly not exposed. On the contrary, more and more powerful people gathered in the border Birdman settlement. This Bai family's power is indeed extraordinary. When Jia Yan was inside the subspace and felt the darkness of the temporary residence outside, he was slightly surprised when two more domain masters arrived. The strength of the Bai family alliance can be gauged through the arrival of strong men within this half-month. Within half a month, strong men who were definitely not far enough away arrived, but even the number of people who came from the surrounding areas exceeded 10. There are definitely some of them that are not named in the Bai family alliance. Friends, half a month has passed. Do you want to start trading items? From the black screen, the strong man from the bird tribe who had previously communicated with Jia Yan's clone flew out. It's time to start. However, the master of the palace will not go out for this transaction. Please understand. It's nothing, as long as there is nothing wrong with the things you are selling. The strong bird clan has regarded this matter as a stepping stone for his bird clan to gain more popularity in the Bai family alliance, so it is very important. Of course there is no problem with the items. Don't worry. You can prepare them first. I will arrive with the items in a moment. Jia Yan's Birdman clone waved his hand and asked the other party to leave first. After another half a day, the noisy darkness suddenly became quiet. Under the notice of the galaxy-level beings of the Bird Clan, countless powerful people from Domain Lord level, Galaxy level, and even Star level and Venerable level came out. God knows how many powerful lives have arrived in this half-month. Not all of those at the venerable level or stellar level came for themselves. Many of them had powerful people behind them. They couldn't arrive in time, so they entrusted these subordinates or friends to purchase designated items instead. Jia Yan will not look down upon others. Anyway, to him, everyone present, regardless of whether they are at the venerable level or the territory lord level, is rubbish. Everyone, thank you for coming to the sales meeting held in my palace. I believe that you have prepared the items we proposed. We do not want items that are not directed by us, unless you find others to exchange for what we need. Things. Jia Yan is a typical efficient strong man. He came in front of many strong men outside the black mist and bluntly announced the start of the transaction. He is definitely not putting out items for auction or the like. That would be exhausting and a waste of time. So he simply sent out several avatars, each in charge of a stall, and placed a large amount of valuables behind the stalls, a few kilometers away from the strong men who came to investigate, for them to choose and buy. However, the traders you released are only at the level of venerables and stars. Among those who come, there are many domain lords, but they will definitely not be able to sit still. The treasure tree in the center of the Milky Way is just a sapling. I think it's fair that I give you a share of my family's iron tree heart. How about it? A domain lord level existence stared at the sapling placed by Jia Yan in the distance. But he is just dreaming. Although the so-called treasure trees are produced in many places in the Milky Way central star region, the price is indeed not expensive. But you have to consider transportation costs. Jia Yan's cost of transporting it from a distant place was definitely not a small amount. If you don't change, you can leave. You are not welcome here. The giant mantis clone sitting in front of the stall suddenly had a strange look in its compound eyes, and without any hesitation, it suddenly looked at the domain lord level. You know, other people's domain lord level powerhouses are more than 10 kilometers in size, but this mantis powerhouse is only about 1 kilometer long. He actually refused to retreat. The strong men around him suddenly became amused. They know that now is the time to observe the background of the so-called palace power. If the other party cannot handle the matter of this domain lord level powerhouse, then the people around him will follow suit. Not to mention snatching it on the spot, it will definitely this is to make this palace power lose all their money, and it is simply not worth it in exchange for something. They were happy to watch. Oh? Do you want me to leave? Haha, little friend, I am a territory lord level. You, a mere venerable between the star level, are not qualified to receive me. You are being unreasonable. Now that you still want to chase me away, do you think you don't take me seriously? The domain lord level strongman said with a smile without changing his expression. He is still confident. Even though there is a senior domain lord sitting in the so-called palace, this is the power of the Bai family. Even if there is no senior domain lord, the majestic and large forces are definitely not something that a senior domain lord can describe. They have many methods, especially it is a means to deal with the strong, and there will never be too much of it. Presumably a powerful traveling man would not offend local forces easily. Otherwise, he would not be called a traveling strong person, but a strong person who is unable to move even an inch. There is no strong traveler who can conquer all the places he has traveled. Momentum versus bombardment. What is a little surprising is that the mantis existence, although it has withstood the pressure of the domain lord level, seems to be calm and clear. Guest, if you continue to communicate in this way, our palace forces have the right to fight back. Fight back. You should fight back. The territory lord was even more surprised, looking at this weakling that neither the venerable nor the star could explain in amusement. The mantis existence nodded and looked towards the subspace behind. The territory lord level being's face turned slightly serious, because he thought that this weak mantis was going to let the suspected senior territory lord behind him take action. However, what surprised him and other strong men was that after the subspace split, What came out was not a senior domain lord level strong man. It's a group of guys in strange clothes and different looks. It's all about the feeling between the venerable and the stellar level. Everyone was shocked and confused. A total of 9 powerful men walked out between the venerable and the star. Without saying a word, they surrounded the territory lord level powerhouse. Your Excellency, let me say one more thing. Those items of yours cannot be exchanged for treasure tree saplings, and I have issued an expulsion order against you. Are you willing to leave? The mantis existed and solemnly asked this question again. The domain lord level creature looked extremely arrogant, and said with a slight smile, "Of course I don't want to leave. Could it be that, you just want to use these guys to drive me away?" Before he finished speaking, the mantis creature shouted directly, "Guards, expel this person, life or death." Yes. The 9 grotesque creatures shouted in unison, and then they collectively released an astonishing aura. Everyone at the scene watched with relish, wanting to see if this so-called guard was as confident as a mantis creature and had the confidence to fight against a domain lord level powerhouse. Of course this is impossible. A group of guys of up to and below the star level, no matter how good they are, can deal with high-level stars. How can they possibly jump many levels in a row to control the main level of the balance domain? That's a fool's dream. Boom. However, when the momentum of the 9 guards suddenly connected with each other and became one, the whole space felt as if some terrifying existence had awakened, and there was a huge earthquake. The expression of the domain lord level creature trapped in the center also changed drastically at the same time. Just now, he had a monkey mentality and watched these 9 weak people surrounding him, because he could not believe that the group of weak people in front of him could cause any harm to him. However, at this moment, his feelings were different. When the guys at the 9-star levels showed their combined power, he felt that he was being stared at by a strong man of the same level. What made him even more confused was that this powerful man still surrounded himself and could attack him from all directions. How can it be? Clang. Boom. The first star-level strongman to stand out from the crowd held a weapon that emitted a strange brilliance and slashed it down in the air. What kind of weapon is this? The domain lord level felt that the sky had collapsed. The weapon in front of him had become one with the guard. Moreover, the aura of the guard had obviously gathered all the energy of the guard in an instant and channeled some explosive properties. And finally turned into an attack power that even made him blush. It sounds slow, but in fact things change very quickly. He quickly mobilized all his energy, trying to resist the blow first. At that time, you can say anything about misunderstanding, say that you will abide by the rules, or ask for mercy. However, the guards were determined to use him to establish their power, so how could they let him go so easily? During the bombardment, the territory lord really resisted the guard's first sword. However, after resisting the first sword, the guard holding the sword had just plummeted. When he returned to an ordinary star-level strongman, another one came behind him. There was an extremely terrifying energy rush. This time it's a strong man with an axe in hand. Damn it! Feeling that the strength of this strong guard's attack was not much weaker than that of the one holding the sword just now, the domain lord didn't even have time to say anything, and quickly turned around to resist the axe behind him. Jingle. Fortunately, he was a domain lord with quick reactions, otherwise it would have been really difficult to resist this sudden attack. No way. Just when he thought he could take a breath, he was shocked by the axe's blow and took a few steps back, felt a spear thrust from the other direction, and his entire expression turned into extreme fear. Can these 9 guards gather everyone's strength in an instant, and then use weapons and explosive power to increase their attack power to the level of a domain lord? What the hell? Are you dreaming? This territory lord level powerhouse, who was dozens or hundreds of times larger than the 9 guards together, seemed unable to escape. He was stuck in the encirclement, struggling to resist without any help, and was instantly defeated. Everyone watching the battle suddenly fell into an even more disbelieving mood than he did. That's the Domain Lord. Territory Lord level existences, among the forces of the Bi-Family Alliance, apart from the senior Territory Lord level strength of the family leader, they are definitely top-notch existences. Even the young master must be treated with great courtesy. But now, the Territory Lord level, who is like a god in the eyes of other creatures, is actually surrounded by 9 guys who may not even be astral level, and is beaten to the point of being almost defeated. This can't be a nightmare. Otherwise, why would such an impossible thing happen? You must know that in the universe, the strong are respected, and the strength and means of the strong are absolute, and it is difficult to jump across levels. Not to mention the Domain Lord level. At this level, if you throw it anywhere in the galaxy, you will definitely fall into the category of the strong. There is no possibility of being killed by a weak person who crosses the level. What's more, there are still 9 guys with a mere stellar level. You'll die if you blow your breath, okay. Their joint actions are weird. Explosive properties. And the weapon. And the coordination ability is too outstanding. Soon, some strong men at the Domain Lord level saw what was going on. In an instant, they felt cold water pouring down all over their bodies, extinguishing their desire to take action. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2928. This ability to join forces, this joint skills, this weapon. Don't look at that group of guards, they are only at the elementary level of a star, but if they work together, they can reach the level of a Domain Lord. Even the guards are like this. How can the so-called senior domain masters behind them be strong? I cannot imagine. Several domain owners looked at each other and stopped the rescue operation in a tacit understanding. Although they are acquaintances, they are not very familiar with each other. Why should they make enemies with such a powerful family over this person? Wow. Poof. When the besieged Territory Lord was struggling for a moment, a guard finally found the opportunity and slashed his back with a knife, causing blood to spurt out. The vitality in the Territory Lord's eyes quickly disappeared. Damn, I'm going to drag you to death together. The resentment and regret in this Territory Lord's eyes were extremely intense. He regretted that he had been too impulsive before. This traveling force should not be provoked. But he was even more depressed because he didn't seem to have time to fully display his Domain Master level skills. The opponent could often interrupt his movements, and in the end he was cut off by a knife without even being able to come up with a decent counterattack. Extremely useless. So he was planning to blow himself up at the last moment before he died, dragging the bastard guards who killed him with him. However, something even more desperate happened for him. I saw the 9 guards above and below the star releasing their brainwave power one after another. These energies were positive and negative, avoiding the important and taking the light. They suppressed the huge energy released by the Domain Lord, and then beat him hard in one breath like a broken bamboo. Crushed to death, not even the last trace of explosive energy could be channeled out. In other words, he misfired. With such precise coordination ability, it is not an exaggeration to think of them as a whole. Puff. After the defeated Territory Lord was completely unable to resist, one of the 9 people stepped forward, raised his magical weapon, and slaughtered the flowers and plants on the roadside, killing the head of the Territory Lord who had lost the ability to resist. Cut it down. The strong Domain Lord who was caught off guard trembled with his hands and feet, but in the end he could not resist this terrifying energy, and the life energy slowly disappeared. The whole process did not cause any disturbance. Under the control of the 9 guards, this war was like an adult facing a child, and the Territory Lord was not superficial enough. The whole place was silent. They were all stunned by the scene of these 9 guards killing a domain lord in an understatement. This is the domain lord. The 9 weak guards were killed as soon as they were told. His skills shocked everyone. It can even be said that it caused panic. The key is that they are all so terrifying, but where is the strong man behind them? Everyone, you see, if anyone makes trouble again, this friend's fate will serve as a lesson to others. Okay, let's continue with the transaction. The mantis stall owner came forward, smiling and talking to the onlookers. It seemed as if the person who died in front of his stall just now was not the domain lord at all. Everyone was silent. It can be seen that the attitude of the stall owner is not fake, which means that he is basically accustomed to the death of the domain lord level. How domineering this force must be. Come on, it's better to stop trying to figure it out and do formal business. The fact that people dare to travel around and display so many treasures shows that they have such confidence. All the strong men who were extremely conceited before suddenly lost their aggressive courage and were very polite when trading and communicating with the stall owners. Hey hey! In the palace, Jia Yan, who controlled all the clones, couldn't help laughing. The guys outside probably never thought that whether it was the stall owner or the so-called guard, he was actually playing several roles, and they were all his clones. It's a bit sad to say that this is how a strong person fights alone, having to do everything by himself. But this is also a project that Jia Yan wants to try. His mental strength has indeed improved greatly. If it were in the past, no matter how many clones I released, let alone joining forces to defeat a territory lord, even if it was a galaxy level, it would be very difficult, because my mental power is only that strong. I can control multiple targets, let alone jump to the next level. After the battle, it is very difficult to stabilize the overall strength of the star class. Now it's easy to do it. Jia Yan thought for a moment, but he didn't think it was all the result of absorbing the mental power of the white dolphin. Maintaining clones outside the creation world for a long time also played a role in training. At least for him, those days when hundreds of clones were dispersed at the same time had an extremely powerful impact on him. The superposition of several external factors allowed him to control the 9 guard clones and be able to defeat a domain lord level. This is good, at least there is no need for a mere ordinary domain lord to go out in his true body. It feels like he has lost the face of a senior domain lord. Although he was actually the one going into battle, it was just the emperor's new clothes. But the face is your own. This, friend the stall owner, I want this pseudo core, and I am willing to give you a copy of my clan's spiritual power heart. This thing was born in the chaotic zone of the star's sky, and has been invaded by neutron star radiation for many years. It has a negative impact on the spirit. Those who are naturally powerful have great benefits. A strong man came to the other stall owners and took out an important treasure of their starry sky power while looking at them with extremely eager faces. This is a crystal-like material about half a kilometer in size. The stall owner's clone controlled by Jia Yan looked at the object, felt the energy on it, and after roughly judging its efficacy, he shook his head. Sorry, based on my judgment, I don't think your supplies are enough to offset the false stars. The role of the core, only 3 pieces of this material can be traded with you. A tool for mental training is considered a valuable treasure in the galaxy. However, compared to star cores that can directly increase power, even if it is just a pseudo-star core, it is definitely one level behind. Because mental power training items can be developed from many objects. The essence is to disrupt your mental power and exercise your spirit under the premise of safety. In fact, some brave people sneak to the black hole and polish it, which is also a kind of exercise. Mental power method, that's why it is said that mental power training items are not that valuable. 3. This. The strong man was a beginner in the galaxy. After thinking for a long time, he finally gritted his teeth and took out 2 other similar items from the metal bag he carried with him and handed them to the stall owner. Make a deal. The appearance of the two making a deal was seen by others. There was a domain lord who seemed to be talking to himself, but was able to be heard by many people and said, "I don't know if this so-called pseudo-star core has the effect that the stall owner described, and I don't know if anyone has done it in front of everyone. Human face, let's verify the effect." Hearing this, the first-level powerhouse from the galaxy was shocked. "Your Excellency, if you are worried, you can refine it nearby. We can guarantee the effectiveness of the things produced by our power." Jia Yan's stall owner clone looked at the territory lord level, but he didn't have any small-minded desire for revenge. It is normal for customers who are shopping to have such worries. Therefore, Jia Yan also wants to find a tester to show the effect of the things he sells. Only in this way can he attract other customers. The junior galaxy powerhouse thought for a while, politely greeted Jia Yan's stall owner clone, took out a black curtain, and opened it in front of the stall. A large piece of black enveloped him, forming a black screen of about 50 kilometers. Space, he just happens to be doing something in it. People around him did not inquire about his cultivation secrets, but just felt the energy changes of this person in the dark. I could only feel the wind and water rising inside the black curtain, and a large area of powerful thunder. It didn't take long for the first-level powerhouse of the galaxy to disperse the dark scene with joy. "Thank you to this stall owner friend. The effect is better than expected. I need to find a convenient place to retreat deeply. Goodbye stall owner. Good to go." Jia Yan smiled and nodded. For a moment, everyone looked at the departing galaxy beginner, then looked back at the stall owner Jia Yan, and then looked at the items for sale above, and their eyes suddenly brightened. They were a little worried about the goods before, but with the first person to eat the crab, their worries were immediately dispelled. Everyone knew the first-level powerhouse of the galaxy, and he was a powerhouse within the Bai family. There should be no need to support the coming forces, unless he would no longer be part of the Bai family alliance. "I also want a piece of pseudo-star core. That over there is the energy fine-tuning stone from the Milky Way Central Star region? I want it. I'm actually interested in the techniques over there." People came to each stall one by one and started asking questions. Jia Yan was very busy for a while. As for the 9 guards, they were scattered in various places, patrolling by with expressionless expressions from time to time, which made the strong men present tense up. Even if some wanted to cause trouble, they thought about the territory lord level before. Even in the state of death, these thoughts have been restrained. Here is the master of our power, the newly acquired trading object. Suddenly, when the transaction between the two parties was in full swing, a new purchase panel was placed on the various stalls by the guard clones controlled by Jia Yan. Someone looked at the content above and their eyes wandered. Trading things that lock the chi machine in the subspace, or drag the machine in the subspace. These two items seemed somewhat sensitive, which was unexpected. Many powerful members of the Bai family looked at each other, and a few of them laughed. Not long after, some strong men were seen approaching quietly while the guards were patrolling to a deserted place. "Friend, guard, I have the thing your master wants to buy, but the thing in the subspace is a very important artifact for the power of my Bai family. It must be in this space, or even the entire world. In the light year area, we may be the only ones in the Bai family alliance who have this kind of thing. I wonder if I can interview your master." The guard who contacted the strong man had a serious look in his eyes. Jia Yan thought, sure enough. The young master is a person with strong subspace talents. He will naturally study the things in the subspace very deeply and then control them. After all, you can't hurt yourself by eating the food of subspace. Just like Jia Yan, he has developed the palace technology of 10-dimensional space movement. This is an advanced technology that can only be developed with the cooperation of his own talent. He will never sell it to others. No amount of money can be negotiated. "Okay, you come with me." The guard led the domain lord level powerhouse around a few turns, passed between the black curtains, and entered the depths of the black curtains, concealing the truth from others. Although outsiders don't know where he has led this domain lord, anyone with a little bit of thought will know that he is selling important secrets of the bi-family alliance. However, many people are planning the same thing, so it's hard to say who will punish him. The young master of the bi-family does not know whether he is alive or dead. God knows whether this shaky alliance will still be there in the future. It is better to get some real benefits now. The master of our palace power is inside the subspace. You can communicate with him here. When the territory lord was led by the guards to the center of the black screen, looking forward to the distortion of the subspace, he felt that there was a huge thing deep in the subspace, looking at the territory lord level with a look of disdain on the outside world. I've met Senior. The domain lord didn't dare show the slightest disrespect. His subordinates can beat even domain lords to death, not to mention his own strength. I am afraid that he will be killed instantly in front of such a senior domain lord. The further you get to domain lord level, the more you know how terrifying senior domain lords are. No need to be polite, little friend. I heard that you have what I want, but do you want to trade with me face to face? Yes, senior. You may not know that the bi-family alliance to which we belong also has subspace leaders, so selling subspace technology is a big taboo for us. Haha, you have the courage to sell, but we, the traveling experts, don't care about the origin of the traded items. Please figure out how to trade. Jia Yan smiled. The domain lord was quite cautious and said straightforwardly, Sir, before the transaction, I would like to ask, since you have a 10-dimensional subspace mobile object, you must not be lacking in subspace technology, and you may even be smarter than me. The domestic alliance's subspace technology is more advanced. Why do we still need these technologies? This is the correct way for a strong person to open up. It is impossible for him to really trade away the core technology for his own selfish purposes. Jia Yan opened the skylight and spoke frankly, who said that if you have mastered the ability to move in 10 degrees of subspace, you can no longer acquire other subspace technologies. These days, I have gotten to know your alliance. It is said that the young master of your alliance has, the extremely fast movement technology in subspace is something I don't have. However, it is impossible for outsiders to purchase such technology, so I only purchase the dragging technology and the locking chi technology. As long as I master these two technologies, I must be able to draw parallels and understand your young master's thoughts. I see. The domain lord level expert breathed a sigh of relief. Jia Yan's rhetoric was very careful. If the bi-family alliance were to sell the mobile technology that the white dolphins accelerated in the subspace, the bi-family alliance would not be able to sell it no matter what. It was equivalent to the vital core technology of the bi-family alliance. As for the technique of locking chi in the subspace, as well as the dragging technology, the confidentiality level is much lower in comparison. He sold it secretly, so it should not be that serious. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2929. Okay, now give the two items to me. What you want are the two cultivation techniques, right? Just follow the guards to get them later. Yes. The domain lord did not dare to say anything and directly handed over the two items. Jia Yan tore apart the subspace indifferently, and a brainwave power surged from it. He took the items thrown by the domain lord level existence and put them into the subspace. But just as the domain lord was about to leave, he seemed to remember something and asked. By the way, Your Excellency, do you know which part of the starry sky was used to develop these two items? Don't get me wrong. The things you sell do not give me the technology. I just want to deduce these two items through the geography of the research and development site. Technical principles. The domain leader paused. After thinking about it, Jia Yan's question didn't affect anything. He even sold the things, and it was nothing to tell the origin. After all, it couldn't be more serious than the crime of leaking top-secret items. Senior, these two items were developed from the border area to the north of our bi-family alliance. It was there that the young master developed his own subspace talent. Therefore, there are more subspace research institutions there, and the academic atmosphere of subspace is also relatively strong. The domain lord level powerhouse left. But here's the surprise. Not long after this territory lord level trader, the entire trade fair came to a hasty end as the guards came out and the stall owners closed their stalls. It only started for a day, and it ended hastily, which naturally made many strong people feel unhappy. However, the palace is extremely powerful and acts mysteriously. The external reason is that they have important things to do, and they have nothing to do. Not long after, the giant palace quietly left the land of the bird tribe, flying towards the northern border of Bai family. My mental strength has stabilized at a certain level. Jia Yan was obviously not as calm as he appeared outside in the center of the palace. Even a little anxious. Because after he digested the spiritual gains from the battle to create the world, he felt that his spiritual power had reached a certain peak. Even when the digestion was about to be completed in these 2 days, he felt that the energy entered a new world. In other words, with pure mental energy, he was sure that he had entered a new level. But at the same time, the feeling of mismatch between physical and mental strength began to hit him. In other words, Jia Yan was surprised to find that his mental power had entered a new world, but due to physical limitations, he was allowed to enter with half a foot. His physical body could not set foot in that area, and he would never be able to exist in the next area. So he began to be relatively enthusiastic about getting the white dolphin body. Ji, now, help me analyze how to reach the northern land as quickly as possible, and then collect all the intelligence in the Bai family's territory to choose the most suitable investigation method for me. Zhineo was stunned for a while. Jia Yan was also stunned, and then he said in despair, "Forget it, just do it one by one as I told you." He was used to Atis's way of handling affairs, but he forgot that other intelligences did not have Atis's autonomy. It's not that the computing power is not good, but without Jia Yan's words, the brain has no sense of self-judgment. In what I just said, there are several groups of judgments that can only be made after understanding Jia Yan's personality, temper, way of dealing with people, etc. Unfortunately, this new intelligence brain has not collected this level of information. Suddenly, when Jia Yan had mixed feelings, Zhineo conveyed a piece of information to Jia Yan. Reporting to my master, the pre-intelligent brain lifeform is requesting communication connection from you. Oh? Adisha. You really can do whatever you want. Jia Yan was so happy that he quickly connected to Adisha's channel. Soon, a vague portrait of Adisha appeared on the connected network. Brother Master, Adisha has already left the creation world. Adisha has finished everything you asked me to do. Adisha looked like you should hurry up and praise me. Well, you're great, but now I need you urgently. Can you come over right away? Jia Yan sent his location, and soon received a positive response from Adisha. Okay, Adisha is not far away. In addition, Adisha has already prepared tools for subspace movement. Hee. Adisha didn't say what tools she had, so she put down the phone and rushed directly to Jia Yan's direction. After waiting for Adisha for less than 2 days, a flying figure rushed from the depths of subspace to the outside of the palace. Hey, isn't this the subspace mobile rocket that White Dolphin used to have? How did you master it? Jia Yan was a little surprised when he saw Adisha's vehicle. Haha, it's because Adisha modified the program of Beijia's Hineo. The little girl Adisha, carefully dressed in clothes that looked like astronaut clothes, flew out of the rocket-type vehicle. The extreme distortion force in subspace quickly cut a large number of scars on her spacesuit. Ah! Adisha was so frightened that she quickly flew into the energy range of the palace and slapped her small chest hard, looking very scared. He was completely different from the ordinary Hineo who was standing there dumbfounded. Without waiting for the shocked Edisha to say anything more, Jia Yan controlled his brainwave power and docked the giant rocket to the positive and negative planet following behind the palace. You know, Jia Yan spent a lot of money to decorate such a planet in the past, but ever since he got the palace, he has been using this planet as a place to store supplies. Now throwing the rocket up, the robot on the planet cooperated with Jia Yan's brainwave power to clear a large area, otherwise there would be no place to put the rocket. After all, this was the one-man rocket that White Dolphin used to ride in subspace, and it was quite big. Edisha, this is the situation. You can help me. But in your current state, can you control your brain well? Jia Yan spoke to Edisha, told her current situation, and expressed his concerns. He was afraid that Edisha would no longer be able to control her brain. Edisha can do it? Editha jumped up and down and ran to the core area of the palace happily, where she saw that it was full of ultra-high-tech items. When Edissa's hardware was upgraded in the black hole area, Edissa had set up many backdoors and other things. Sorry, it's me Hineo from now on. Edisha smiled at the previous smart brain program, and then pressed the button. Her mind was already clouded by a large number of lines. Countless neuron networks were controlled by her in an instant, and her brain interacted with her current life form. Buzz buzz. Jia Yan looked at her curiously, and Edisha frowned slightly. After a while, Edisha jumped off the machine, and a large number of network cables automatically flew to the outside world, no longer restraining Edisha. Okay, from now on, Edisha will be Hineo and Edisha. Edisha is so great. Editha laughed proudly. You can already control your brain. Well, Edisha can do it. Edisha lets the palace move forward now. Editha commanded the palace, and saw the mammoth palace sailing toward the depths of subspace like flying. Edisha is good at handling a lot of palace affairs. Judging from her calm and clear movements, she seems to have really gained the computing power of her brain. At the same time, she did not sacrifice her independent life personality. It's amazing, Edisha. I'm afraid you are a unique half-intelligent, half-life being. Edisha happily stretched out her hand and shouted, Edisha is unique. Edisha is the most powerful. She was still out of breath. But Edisha is indeed unique. Although I am not sure whether there are similar existences in this galaxy, but with such intelligent brain computing power and similar vital signs, I am afraid that Edisha is the only one. This family, even if there are similar individuals, must be very different from Edissa. Edisha, along the path of worry, calculate the most likely characters and arrange them in order. I will go and visit them one by one. Good. Jia Yan ordered the task again, but Edisha was different from the previous Hineo and agreed in one breath. She understood Jia Yan's habits, Edisha's, investigation techniques, etc., so she automatically did it for Jia Yan without giving him too many instructions. Now all Jia Yan has to do is wait. It can't be said that he is just sitting back and enjoying the results, because he still has to work hard to train his mental strength and stabilize the rapid energy, so it is not lazy. If it were the previous Ji now, Jia Yan had to order too many small details, and Jia Yan couldn't do it properly even in practice, so Jia Yan was extremely satisfied with the appearance of Edisha. Edisha, in the form of a life form, works seamlessly with Jia Yan. It seems that everything has not changed at all since before Edisha became a life form. But Jia Yan soon discovered that Edisha had changed. She can now make quite accurate judgments on many things that require human judgment, instead of the rigid judgment method of Ji now. In addition, she also understands the relationship between things, and even takes care of Jia Yan's emotions, although this care does not seem to have a high emotional intelligence. In short, Edisha can exert more powerful abilities in her position. Jia Yan saved a lot of worry and ignored all the minor problems on the road for the next 5 days. Master, Brother, we are here. Suddenly this day Adisha woke up. Jia Yan arrived. It's much faster than expected. Is this the area where the first target person is? Yes, the Northern Territory of the Bi-Family Alliance is not far from the Northern Territory. If someone who stole the Master's brother's things comes here, he will definitely pass by here, and the first person we suspected lives here. Adisha analyzed it logically. Okay, let's go out and take a look. Jia Yan nodded and asked the palace to stop deep in the 10-dimensional space while hiding its identity. He himself used the terrifying enhancement of his mental power to suppress the 10th level of space and quietly approached the shallow level of the subspace. The outside world of subspace. The place where Adisha stopped was almost the most accurate place, so the first suspected target person was not far from the outside world. Jia Yan felt a terrifying energy that only belonged to the Domain Lord level. However, this Domain Lord level was completely unaware of his uninvited guest. The mental power of both sides is no longer as simple as one level difference. Because Jia Yan's mental power has vaguely reached the level of Senior Domain Lord and above after the transformation of the created world, it is directly 2 levels stronger than ordinary Domain Lord creatures, and they can sense that there are ghosts. Jia Yan released the power of his brainwaves and quietly sensed the movement of the strong man outside, as well as the surrounding situation, and whether there were any clues about the white dolphin's body. He transformed into a powerful man traveling on the border of the Bi-Family bird clan, and his actual purpose was to obtain clues about the body of the white dolphin. The point is that he deliberately sought out people from the Bi-Family to trade subdimensional mobile objects. White Dolphin himself is a person with strong subspace talent, and has a very advanced subspace technology creation, which means that within the Bi-Family, there is definitely a department or strong person with strong subspace research capabilities. And this group or strong person is most likely the person who stole the body of the white dolphin. Jia Yan already has a considerable degree of unforgettable hatred for this person who stole his promotion strength and body without permission. So whether the reason is to continue to become stronger or to find this enemy, he will investigate it tirelessly. And time is running out. One more day of delay will increase the chance that the body of the white dolphin will disappear. This is why Jia Yan did not even return the Orion arm, so he searched for it alone. Outside world. It's a very small planet. This planet is as small as only 500 kilometers in diameter. However, the target person, Domain Lord, lives on this planet. The way he ruled was very similar to the way Jia Yan used to rule in the central star field of the Milky Way. He only occupied a small planet, and a large number of strong men and subordinates came and went to report information, causing the starry sky to become prosperous. As for this strong man, he was giving orders while studying his combat abilities on the planet. Do you seem to be still doing research on subspace? Jia Yan became a little interested. This guy is Jia Yan's biggest investigation target, and he is not chosen casually. This person has great motive and ability to commit crimes. He has a special liking for subspace, but he does not have the talent for subspace. Moreover, his strength has reached the Domain Lord level, and he has strong research and development capabilities. About half of the many tools used by White Dolphin in the subspace are from the hands of this Domain Lord level expert. So if after the White Dolphin lost the battle with Jia Yan, this person secretly located the White Dolphin's physical body, took away its body, and used it for his own use. He even used a unique method to transfer part of the White Dolphin's subdimensional ability to his own body. It is absolutely possible for this territory lord to do it, and it will be of great benefit to his combat effectiveness. Is it him? Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2930. Jia Yan released the power of brain waves, silently feeling the energy of the domain master, and then sensing various clues in the outside space. But what made him a little disappointed was that although there were many white dolphin scents in the outside world, these scents were all from a long time ago, and there was no bloody scent related to his own flesh and blood. Jia Yan has already devoured the heart of a white dolphin. The mosquito body has the ability to remember the devoured body. There is no trace of that atmosphere around here. Could it be that it's not him? Jia Yan was quite disappointed, but not disheartened. He retreated deeper into the subspace, returned to the palace, and gave orders to Edisha, go to the second target. This person is not the guy we are looking for. Okay. Editha was playing with herself in the palace. She didn't do anything after hearing the words. She only saw the palace shake and quickly move towards a certain direction in the subspace. Huh? Is there something weird in subspace? At the same time, on the planet outside, the domain lord level expert who was studying the subject of subspace changed his expression. However, he released the power of brainwaves and several high-tech things to explore subspace, but found nothing, so he had to pretend that he had made a mistake. Jia Yan, the instigator, had already commanded Edisha to fly the palace away from this area. A palace with propulsion capabilities is different. Not only does it have a good living environment, but it is also fast. Especially with Edisha personally in charge, she can often understand Jia Yan's psychological dynamics while traveling and make correct reactions. Who could do it better than Edisha? Edisha, how is Xiaolin, the one who created the world? Jia Yan seemed to have thought of something and asked. If Xiaolin doesn't come out, I'll let her be a goddess in the created world. Edisha didn't even look at Jia Yan, staring at the sky, because she was fully controlling the palace. What about you? Have you ever thought about staying in the created world, where you are a god and there are so many fun things? Jia Yan asked casually. Edisha glared at her fiercely and said angrily, Edisha must help the master. Master will definitely not be able to do many things without Edisha. Jia Yan nodded silently, not irritating her anymore. This little guy still knows how to get angry. It's quite interesting. Although she is still the same Edisha as before, her personality and temperament are different. At least there will be more laughter in this palace in the future. But Jia Yan soon discovered that he had thought too much. After Edisha roughly mastered how to operate and move at a distance, she gave up beside Jia Yan and slipped to the Edisha star behind. This planet is the planet that Jia Yan named after Edissa. Edissa spent a lot of energy to create the scenery and functions on the planet. Now that she has returned as a serious life form, how can she not slip back? At least on the planet, there are too many things to play with. Jia Yan was crawling inside the palace, feeling the laughter on the planet thousands of kilometers away. He was a little amused by the fact that Edita led a large number of robots to play games on the planet. I feel like I'm jealous of a robot. In short, no matter what, the return of Editha has formed a new way of movement for Jia Yan, which is flexible and more reliable. He quickly got used to living like this, but it didn't take long before Edisha informed Jia Yan of the situation through her contact information. Brother, master, we are here again. This guy seems a little weird. Edita seriously suspects it's him. Jia Yan nodded. The huge giant mosquito body senses the outside world. Soon he understood why Edisha said she had come to the new reporting location again, and the target person was highly suspicious. The first is the sense of energy, that of a completely familiar person. It seems that there are also characters that appear in the creation world. Jia Yan felt it for a moment and quickly figured out the identity of this person. Let's not mention anything else for now. It is only said that his sense of power has appeared in the creative world. From this point alone, it can be judged that his level of suspicion has been greatly improved. At this moment, an outsider who was suspected to be close to the domain lord level was practicing silently. His mental power increased abnormally fast. However, not too long passed before this powerful man stopped practicing in a fit of impatience. Jia Yan was inside the subspace, observing this person's actions calmly. As a senior territory lord, even in terms of mental strength, far exceeding the average senior territory lord. He wanted to ignore the brainwave power perception of someone close to territory lord level, just like playing. During the cultivation process, the strong man took out his brain and looked through recent major events. There have been a lot of reports and rumors online about the Orion arm loss. Rumors abounded. However, probably because of popular demand, the news of the death of the white dolphin was not reported. The media vaguely stated that the frontline troops in the Orion arm were likely to fall into a passive situation. Anyone who understands understands. Jia Yan just roughly followed his gaze, took a look at the content, and didn't read more. The media in every place is like this. For the sake of stability and the like, it is often difficult to report the truth. Especially for major events such as the death of a power lord, it is even impossible to report it, and they will even cover it up for the higher UPS. After all, if the news of the death of the white dolphin is reported, the bi-family alliance may be in turmoil. The strong man who was close to the domain lord level was silent for a long time and sighed deeply after reading the information. Jia Yan quickly obtained more conclusive evidence. I saw this strong man fetching some extremely terrifying subspace energy sealed item from the retreat place. This item is exactly what the former domain lord level subspace research expert was frantically researching in his own power. Jia Yan remained calm. He was waiting. It was absolutely impossible for him to act rashly until decisive evidence was revealed. Otherwise, if we fail to alert the snake, we may never miss the body of the white dolphin. This is what Jia Yan doesn't want to see. However, Jia Yan did not observe for too long, and before he could even obtain completely accurate evidence, an unexpected visitor came and broke Jia Yan's observation. The visitor is another domain lord. In the northern territory of the Bai family, there are unexpectedly many territorial lords. Probably because it is similar to the northern territory. The coming territory lord level had just arrived. Not long after making Jia Yan unhappy, it brought a key breakthrough to Jia Yan's suspicion. Because this domain lord level powerhouse said directly in front of Jia Yan, young master's physical body has been transported. Has it arrived? Little lord? Jia Yan listened intently and soon heard a lot of very important information from the discussions between the two parties. It was indeed them who did it. After a while, he had summarized the answer he wanted. The white dolphin body is exactly what these two powerful men did. Not long after, terrifying giant abilities surged out from within the subspace. The entire starry sky and heaven and earth are like going from a peaceful scene with clear clouds and clear wind to a roaring stormy weather in an instant. In this stable land of starry sky, there are many kinds of fluctuations. The expressions of the two beings who are either close to territory lord or territory lord level suddenly change. They felt the sudden energy coming all over their bodies with chills. They had just raised a little sense of resistance, but they realized that the defensive power on their bodies was like a torrent, being swept away by the sudden energy. They immediately looked at each other. How powerful is this being? Even its brainwave power is several levels beyond theirs. You must know that they are domain lord level, several levels higher than domain lord level, so they are already at the top level of the entire galaxy. Anyway, they have never seen such a terrifying existence in their lives. There may be some in the northern territory, but it is impossible to meet them. Jia Yan just put his unprecedentedly enhanced brainwave power to the test, and immediately received the expected results. Or should I say, the effect was better than expected, because the two people who were close to the territory lord and territory lord level beings were completely helpless and were pinched by their own hands. The brainwave energy transformed into mental power was several levels higher than the opponents. The defensive power they formed in response was crushed by Jia Yan like a bubble, instantly bursting. Senior. Please forgive me, Senior. The two strong men quickly understood that they were no match for this energy lord. They even seriously doubted that even if the entire Bi-family alliance was fully powerful and all the strong men sacrificed their lives, they might not be able to do anything to this strong man. After all, when strong people come into contact with each other, they will know what level of strength the other party has reached. Anyway, they can feel it. It is not clear how strong the other party is, but it is easy to crush them to death. Rather than being crushed to death in an instant, it would be better to surrender. In the face of strong people, everyone in this galaxy has a recognized way of dealing with them, and there is no other way but to give in. Very good, two old friends. I wonder if the scenery will remain the same when you return to the Bi-family alliance. The expressions of the two strong men changed slightly. From this sentence, they heard a certain meaning. That is the existence that emits energy sounds, and you should know them. But they have really never seen a being with such strong brainwave power in their lives. If it were someone he really knew, he would have been engraved in his heart from the past. How could he completely forget about this person? Senior, don't you know that we were lucky enough to know him in the past? Among them, the territory lord level being was a slightly stronger character after all, so he spoke tremblingly. His mind was spinning with lightning, trying to guess who Jia Yan was. But no matter how hard you guess, you may never guess that the terrifying and powerful man coming here will actually be the enemy they faced before in the created world. You two are such noble people who forget things so much. Are you going to forget all about Jia? Along with the mighty energy, a huge creature tore through the starry sky from the subspace and walked out happily. This giant mosquito is more than 30 kilometers long. However, compared to more than 30 kilometers, the powerful men above and below the two domain lords are at least 10 or 20 kilometers in size, so this cannot be said to be the reason for the drastic change in their expressions. The reason why the expressions of these two powerful men changed drastically was because of the appearance of this giant mosquito. As former enemies, how could they forget the enemy's strongest leader? Jia Yan. It's you. You, what are you doing in the heart of our Bi-family alliance? Are you preparing to trigger a decisive battle between the two star regions? These two masters were somewhat confident. After all, the Bi-family alliance was not something that ordinary strong men would be willing to mess with. I believe that even masters above senior domain lords, under Xiao's Hilly, after being moved by emotion, they will also restrain their thoughts of killing. No one wants to offend the great forces in the starry sky. But these thoughts were quickly thrown out of their minds after they saw clearly the appearance of Jia Yan's giant mosquito. Because Jia Yan is the enemy, since they can regard Jia Yan as the target of death, why not also Jia Yan? Today, they also feel that Jia Yan's energy strength seems to be much stronger than before. Since his strength has become stronger and he is his original enemy, what reason does Jia Yan have to not fight against him when he finds an opportunity? Kill these two former enemies? So their faces turned pale for a moment. That's right, you too. It's been a long time. After Jia Yan came out of the subspace, his expression remained calm and clear, as if he was no longer in the enemy's lair. Jia Yan, when you appear here, aren't you afraid that many powerful men from our Bi-family alliance will join forces to kill you? Don't underestimate me, the son of the Bi-family alliance. Although the two domain lords have not yet been restrained by Jia Yan, however, in front of Jia Yan, they did not even dare to think of escaping. Don't be like this, two friends, I'm not here to destroy your Bi-family. I'm just here to ask you something. Will peace make money? Jia Yan burst into laughter and blocked the words of the two masters in his mouth. It was still the domain lord level being, relatively speaking, much calmer. He asked politely, Master Jia Yan, I wonder what you want to ask us about? As long as you want to know, we will definitely know everything and tell you everything. Sure enough, you are quick to talk. Jia Yan laughed, and then his face turned serious. Tell me, where did you hide the body of the white dolphin? In an instant, within the starry sky where there had been cries of injustice just now, one could hear a pin drop. After Jia Yan said the above question, the expressions of the two strong men changed from frightened to calm, and even the strong man who was not at the level of a domain lord turned into a sneer. They probably also knew that they and others were pretending to be useless. Jia Yan has been peeping nearby for who knows how long. Jia Yan, I don't quite understand what you are talking about the body of a white dolphin. Could it be that you are talking about the body of the young master of our clan that should be devoured by you? The one who didn't reach the domain lord level asked very calmly. Jia Yan looked at him and nodded, not bad. The man laughed again, why, since Mr. Jia Yan's strength has been enhanced to such an extent, he must have devoured the body of the young master of our clan. Why is it that now that he has come to us to find some young master? Lord's body, do you think that we have not suffered enough humiliation? Jia Yan looked at him silently. This guy should be an eloquent person, he is quite eloquent. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2931. He stopped talking, because from the beginning to the present, he did not think that his debating skills could have any development. If he really argued with such a confusing character, he would definitely suffer. So he was straightforward and showed off his brainwave power. Click. In the eyes of ordinary outsiders, this strong man who is close to the domain lord level is already strong enough. His speaking mouth is suppressed by invisible energy, and one of his feet is completely removed by some kind of strange energy. The intense pain caused him to struggle violently, but like a mountain shaking, the energy that controlled him remained completely motionless. Suddenly, the eyes of this powerful man who was close to the domain lord level looked at Jia Yan, and his eyes became filled with fear. At any rate, he was close to a domain lord level existence, but he was controlled to death by the power of brainwaves, like a helpless baby. If this person was just shocked in his heart, the other domain lord level guy was in a state of turmoil. Compared to another strong man who is only close to the territory lord, he is a serious territory lord level. Besides, he is still a domain lord with strong brainwave power. But he was directly controlled to death by Jia Yan using his brainwave power. Although he felt that he still had a chance to break free from this shackles when he went all out, but what happened after that? Jia Yan can control you for a moment, which is enough for him to do many things. In other words, he may not even have a chance to make a move in front of Jia Yan. Is this just a senior domain lord who is one level stronger than me? It's not like he hasn't crossed swords with the original master of the old family and the future young master of the white dolphin. Anyway, in those days when he was practicing his moves, he never felt any possibility of the two family heads completely crushing him. This Jia Yan actually became so powerful after devouring the young master's spiritual power. He didn't speak, he just thought anxiously in his heart. Of course, Jia Yan became stronger after devouring the mental power of the white dolphin. If he had been so powerful before, the young master must not have dared to make a move. Even if he had made a move, if Jia Yan had such ability at that time, he would probably be able to defeat him with just a few moves. The young master will also be angry on the spot, so why bother to go through the trouble of creating a world? You too, if there is more, I won't say more. Where did you throw your young master's physical body? Please tell me, what I competed with him was to devour each other. There is no reason for me to win fair and square. Finally, you won't be able to get your bet, this is not the words and deeds of an honest person. Jia Yan's giant mosquito compound eyes have a faint gaze that makes people look into each other and feel like they are falling into an extremely deep abyss. Extremely terrible. This, Lord Jia Yan, it's not that we are unwilling to cooperate, it's just that we really don't know what you mean. Could it be that, you didn't swallow the young master's body? Then how did you become so powerful? The person who did not reach the domain lord level was still chattering. Jia Yan glanced at this person, then shook his head coldly. Trickle. I saw this majestic master who was close to the domain lord level, exploded in the air and turned into a ball of flesh and blood dust in the universe. Huge monsters over dozens of kilometers burst open. The picture was extremely strange and somewhat beautiful. At least in this starry sky, it was rare to see a huge picture made of flesh and blood, but now it was displayed here. In the miserable and bloody scene, no one of the other two people involved appreciated it that much. Jia Yan turned his gaze to the domain lord level powerhouse who had not spoken to him. After the two people made eye contact, the territory lord level being felt that his soul was gone and his mouth was dry. Let me think about it, you were injured by the black tiger in the creative space, right? At the beginning, I felt that there was something wrong with your voluntary withdrawal. I must have been the one who went to steal the body of the white dolphin at that time. Well, I guess you are not stupid. As long as you honestly tell me the whereabouts of the white dolphin's body, I won't kill you. How about that? Although the domain lord did not speak, Jia Yan had been observing the two powerful men from the Bai family alliance. This man's eyes were darting from beginning to end, indicating that he had many little thoughts in his heart. He must be a man who can adapt to the wind. Guy. Sure enough, after Jia Yan said that he could be spared, the domain lord level powerhouse nodded without saying a word. Thank you for your forgiveness, Mr. Jia Yan. I was really obsessed with it. After listening to other people's opinions, I deliberately slipped out of the creation world early. Then I used my subspace mobile equipment in the northern region and found Mr. White Dolphin in the subspace. His body was secretly transported away. Finally getting the answer to the question he wanted, Jia Yan smiled sincerely. He was not in a hurry to ask about the whereabouts of White Dolphin's body, because he already knew that this person had information, so he was not in a hurry. He still had several questions that he wanted to ask clearly. Did you really steal it? Haha, let me ask you a few questions. First of all, since you stole the white dolphin's body, why did you leave its heart alone? You know, if you turned it into a whole, steal it, and maybe there's the possibility of rescuing it. The domain lord simply shook his head and said, returning to Mr. Jia Yan, first of all, Mr. White Dolphin should not be saved. When we first entered the creation world, all of us invested a lot of mental energy, and the young master of White Dolphin invested even more. Most of it is his mental power, so even if I rescue his physical body, it will only be a shell. He paused and continued, in addition, I know that the place where the young master's spiritual power is usually stored is the heart, and you have devoured his spiritual power. Maybe you will follow the clues left behind by the spiritual power to find me. I took his body away and left the young master's heart where it was in order to avoid future troubles. This is my sin. This person said it as if he was righteous. Jia Yan nodded cheerfully. In fact, he had already guessed these contents. I understand, but let me add a reason for you that you didn't say. Maybe you think that even if such a young master is saved, it will not be of any help to you, and may even ruin your business, so why not just leave his heart to me to devour it, which is equivalent to complete physical death, and you will save yourself a lot of trouble, right? The domain lord was stunned for a moment, didn't speak, lowered his head and didn't respond. Even if he was guessed by Jia Yan, it would be impossible for him to admit it. Of course, not taking a stand is the most intuitive way to take a stand. Jia Yangzhen called him a good guy. But he didn't get entangled in anything. After all, he and the white dolphin were not sympathetic enemies, so they would not avenge him. He continued to ask, is the subspace movement tool you are using a specialty from the northern region of the Bai family alliance? It is quite good. Thank you for the compliment, sir. If you like it, After you release me later, I will take all the family's inventory when I go back and transport it to your Orion arm. I will also persuade the Bai family to make an alliance and live in harmony with the Orion arm from now on. Good guy, this person is quite understanding. He talks a lot, but his purpose is still to survive. Jia Yan thought for a while and then finally returned the topic to its original purpose. So, where is the white dolphin's body? You know, I need his body urgently. He didn't want to settle the injustice for White Dolphin. If he lost, he would lose. Besides, as long as White Dolphin was alive, none of his subordinates would oppose him in front of him. After Jia Yan talked about this matter, the face of the Domain Lord level powerhouse suddenly became a little ugly, and he finally stammered. Master Jia Yan, the villain is guilty. If you had come one day earlier, you would have seen the villain offering the young master's body, but now, the body has been taken away. Was it taken away? Even if it was Jia Yan, his entire expression would inevitably change. Took it away? Who took it away? Tell me. He was slightly anxious and rushed to the front of the Domain Lord. Sir, Your Majesty. Because Jia Yan's brainwave power involuntarily increased a bit, controlling this Domain Lord level powerhouse to the point where his body almost collapsed, the man screamed with great pain and difficulty. Tell me, if you answer well and I am in a good mood, I will spare your life. Jia Yan didn't say whether he would keep his promise. The premise of the promise just now was that he would get the body of the white dolphin and get what he wanted. But now, the body of the white dolphin has really been lost, and there is no need for him to keep his promise. Of course, seeing how cooperative this person is, if he answers well, Jia Yan will not refuse to spare his life. Anyway, the ordinary Domain Lord level does not pose a strong threat to him now. Let him go. Don't let go, it's all in your own thoughts. After all, he also said that he would go to the front line to comfort other Bi-Family Alliance troops and make peace with the Orion arm. This matter is still quite valuable. Sir, I said. The body of the young master was taken away by people from the Northern Territory. They have been watching the battle between your Orion arm and my Bi-Family for a long time, and they made an agreement with me that no matter who wins or loses, as long as I obtain certain bodies and weapons from both sides, I will return a large amount of resources. I see. Jia Yan was wondering just now why this person found the white dolphin's body faster than him. Although he spent a few days devouring the spiritual gains in the created world, he and the victory rules under the white dolphin rules guidance should be faster than everyone else. After all, not everyone can enter the subspace, especially the white dolphin and himself, who are hiding in the 8-dimensional subspace. It is difficult for ordinary domain lords to stay here for a long time, let alone find it slowly. People. But if this person knew the hiding place of both parties through his intelligence in advance, then it would be a matter of course. People from the Northern Territory. Jia Yan paused and continued to ask, who is this person? If I chase him now, will it still be too late? The Territory Lord hesitated for a moment, and then said, this is a person from a big force. He must have sent the body of the young master to the leader of his force. This person alone is just a member of the Territory Lord, the strength of the main level, but behind them, there is a senior domain master, and there is more than one. More than one senior domain master? Jia Yan had another headache. But even if there is more than one senior domain master, it doesn't matter. For the benefit of the white dolphin body, he is willing to take risks. After all, he had no hope at the beginning, so he dared to directly break into the central star domain of the Milky Way and head towards the black hole area. The purpose of running in was just to get a chance for promotion. Now, the white dolphin body is right in front of him. Although it is a bit weird to say this, Jia Yan believes that any female body is attractive. As long as he gets it, he might be able to surpass the senior domain lord in one go. Barrier. In order to achieve his goal, Jia Yan did not hesitate to clear away any obstacles in front of him. No matter if you are a senior domain owner or not. Even beings above the senior domain lord level, he wouldn't mind touching. Otherwise, don't give in. Please send me all the information about this force. Jia Yan's face was expressionless, showing no emotion or anger. The domain lord found that he was liberated and could move his whole body. He didn't dare to make the slightest move. The series of scenes just now made him deeply realize that Jia Yan's real body who came to the outside world was much stronger than the black god in the created world. Compared with them, the gap is even more terrifying than in the created world. Without making any small moves, he took out the brain and transferred some intelligence contents, including the information from the northern territory that he was familiar with, to Jia Yan's brain. Very good, you are quite cooperative, then, I will let you die simply. Poof. Before the domain lord level being in front of him could show his shocked face, his body seemed to be pulled by some invisible force and fell apart. This territory lord is a territory lord after all. At the last moment of his death, he felt how terrifying the power of the brainwaves tearing him apart was. In addition, the power tearing him apart clearly contained the spiritual energy of his young master. How much of the young master's spiritual power has this Jia Yan swallowed? How can he really transform the young master's spiritual power into his own? Is this still a senior domain lord level? Evolved beasts, are they really so scary? This person's final will ends here. But what he didn't know was that after tearing his body to pieces, the giant mosquito in front of him had a faint look in his eyes. This is the first time I try to use only mental power to deal with the domain lord level. This feeling of complete crushing, I have to say, it's so cool. Jia Yan feels great. It's really great. After all, this is the territory lord level. Even in the past, although he has crushed the territory lord level, especially the territory lord level outside the Milky Way Central Star region, it is not a problem for him to kill one in one strike, but it requires action. Now, without even moving his hands, using only the power of his brain waves, he can actually crush him to death, and the opponent can't even resist. This is no longer as simple as going beyond one level. But it's at least 2 levels beyond. Tisk, tisk, this is less than half of what I have achieved in creating the world. If I swallow the white dolphin, I will increase my strength by more than half. Thinking of this, Jia Yan's eyes became a little more anxious. Tearing open the subspace, Jia Yan didn't even take advantage of the physical benefits of the 2 powerful domain lords, and rushed directly into the palace. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2932. Edisha, quickly follow this map to navigate and see if you catch up with anyone along the way. If not, go directly to the end of the map. Okay. Edisha had a lot of fun in Edisha Star, but she didn't forget to do things. The giant palace moved slowly inside the subspace. It was not until half a day after their group left that any soldiers from the outside discovered the bodies of 2 strong men in this place where strong men practiced. Suddenly, the area was in chaos. You must know that the 2 major existences that are either close to the domain lord, or simply the domain lord level, are thrown into the powerful bi-family alliance. They are also 2 mountain-like existences at the command level. Now these 2 have died inexplicably. Under investigation at the same time as the 2 of them died, the area under the jurisdiction of these 2 people also quickly became turbulent. Countless strong men and countless forces were making small moves underneath, all trying to take advantage of the changes in rights and forces after the death of the 2. And in the vacuum, get a piece of the pie. But these have nothing to do with Jia Yan. It is impossible for him to govern such 2 areas. If the bi-family alliance could sit back and watch a powerful enemy like Jia Yan manage the 2 bi-family alliance areas without even fighting a decisive battle with the bi-family, then they would be too foolish. Moreover, Jia Yan is not the kind of strong man who wants to stably govern certain territories and wait to die, so it is natural for him to leave this place. But it is indeed a pity to leave without searching for any benefits. Come on, Edisha, is this the maximum value of this palace? That's right, the palace itself will be damaged if we hurry up. Master, brother, we are already a lot late. We probably won't have anything, so there's no need to be in such a hurry. Amid Aditha's pitiful comfort, Jia Yan calmed down. This little guy seems to understand a lot. Jia Yan looked at Adisha unexpectedly. In order to increase the speed of the palace, this little guy ran to the palace to control it. Her cute little face was full of solemnity. It was obvious that it was very difficult for her to operate the palace at full speed. So be it. Jia Yan nodded in response. Then there was the relief of seeing Edisha again. Sure enough, Jia Yan commented in his heart that Edisha should also be trying to use her own life form wisdom and emotional judgment. In the age of intelligence, she would never be able to do such a thing. In other words, Jia Yan should admit her at this critical moment, rather than stifling her ability to self-judge, otherwise it will affect future development. Jia Yan let out a long sigh. Regardless of the fact that what Edissa said is indeed correct, even if she is wrong, if it can exchange for Edissa's more humane judgment ability from now on, it will be worth it. If Edisha could hear Jia Yan's current thoughts, she would be frightened. Jia Yan, who values the improvement of his strength above all else, actually values Edisha's personal emotional evolution as more important. Of course, Jia Yan didn't say anything. With the difference in strength between Edissa and him, no matter how humane Edissa was, she couldn't tell what Jia Yan was thinking. Oh, if I really can't catch up, it's destiny. Jia Yan was helpless. Know everything about destiny. The Northern Territory is a legendary place. It is said that as early as 1,000,000 years ago, before even the evolved beasts appeared in the Milky Way, an extremely powerful man came to this ignorant area. There are different opinions about his great strength. Some die-hard fans say that he has the strength of the pinnacle of the galaxy, while some low-key fans say that he is only at the regional main level. In short, no matter what the strength of that strong man is as a teacher, after arriving in this area, he is invincible. He defeated most of the strong men in this ignorant area in one go, and then single-handedly established a place like the Northern Territory. There are also rumors that this person created the Northern Territory by envying a mysterious place in the central star territory of the galaxy, but some people say that this is just a simple name. There are many reasons and urban rumors, but what cannot be denied is that since then, the Northern Territory was erected and stood for millions of years. There are many masters. It can be said that the establishment of the Northern Territory directly established the central theory of the Nyoda region. All the forces within the past 10,000 light-years have all surrendered either openly or verbally. Even those who have disobedience will not surrender. Definitely regard this place as the central place where nothing can be criticized. Today, millions of years have passed, and after several crises and model changes, the existence of the Northern Territory is more of a spiritual symbol. With its invincible heritage and history, it firmly controls the powerful people around it. Come here to find a way to advance, and the resources are recycled, turning it into a spiritual central area. This is the place Jia Yan wants to enter. Master, the Northern Territory is very large, with a clear jurisdictional area of 2,000 light-years in the center. In addition, the areas that are surrendered and nominally under the jurisdiction of the Northern Territory radiate to about 10,000 light-years. It is difficult to find people. While controlling the palace's operations, Edisha also relayed the intelligence she had collected to Jia Yan. With Edisha having her own personality, it is much easier to communicate. Jia Yan just said that he wanted some important information, and Edisha cleaned up the unnecessary content and told Jia Yan what was most important to him. A summary of the information to be obtained. If he had known that Edisha was so useful, Jia Yan would have opened up her wisdom for Adisha sooner. Well, then take a look at the intelligence and see if there are any powerful people worth noting in or around the Northern Territory. Yes. Adisha responded very quickly, as if she had already known that Jia Yan would ask these questions, and she was already prepared. There are currently about 10 senior domain lords known to be in charge in the Northern Territory. If we include those who are hiding from the world or who may rush back at any time, there will probably be more than 20. This is a lot. Jia Yan was slightly startled. He vaguely remembered that he had explored similar problems when he was in the black hole area. The answer he got was that there were not many senior domain lords in this galaxy, and most of them were concentrated near the central star field of the Milky Way. At least in this northern territory, logically speaking, there should not be so many senior territory lords gathered. The entire Milky Way is a ring-shaped sphere. Even though the so-called 10,000 light-year radiation area is very vast, if it is thrown into the Milky Way, it cannot be said to occupy one of the most vast areas. After all, the size of the entire Milky Way will probably exceed dozens of an area affected by northern radiation. This does not include the large and small Magellanic Clouds. Anyway, after Jia Yan was stunned, he smiled nonchalantly. The senior domain master is no longer so worried for him now. Although the opponent has a large number of people, he is not a fool. If there are many strong men of the same level who are enemies of him, he will not implement a roundabout strategy. He's not a fool, he's surrounded and beaten from the front. Moreover, there are said to be so many enemies, but they are distributed in the vast northern starry sky. It is impossible to gather them together in an instant. Moreover, why did I go to find someone else's senior domain leader for no apparent reason? I was just looking for the body I had thrown away. Adisha is very fast. Controlling the palace, they had not flown in the 10-dimensional subspace for 3 days. They were originally bordering the northern region of the Northern Territory. Lord Bai's family and officially entered the Northern Territory area. Master, we have arrived at the border of the Northern Territory. Do you think we should go out to understand the situation first, or should Adisha continue to chase ahead? Aditha's voice sounded again. Jia Yan found that Adisha seemed a little weak. It's no wonder that when she was operating the palace and flying with all her strength, she was consuming energy. Now that she was a living being, she naturally had energy issues. Perhaps this is probably the biggest and maybe the only disadvantage after Aditha transformed into a positive life form. No need to continue, let's inquire about information in the border area, and take a rest by the way. Okay. Adisha was happy, and she also knew that Jia Yan was deliberately thinking about her. The Northern Territory is a place many times more powerful than the Bai family alliance. However, the defensive strength in the border areas was not as amazing as Jia Yan imagined. At least he entered the Bai family's area in the palace. He didn't even enter. He just got close and was detected by the Bai family's bird clan, who then took a stand at the border. However, this was not the case in the Northern Territory. He flew to the edge of the subspace in the palace, and then the whole figure was in a state of panic, like a world-destroying existence. After stepping out of it, no one found any trace of him. Not to mention a well-prepared army. Jia Yan was embarrassed for a moment, feeling that he was looking down on himself. But after thinking about it, he felt relieved. The Milky Way is no different from the creation of the world. It is an extremely huge real starry sky. It is normal for stars to be several light years apart. He just randomly picked a place to fly out in the starry sky between two stars. If some strong person really predicted that he would show up here and then greet him here, Jia Yan would have to be careful, because of that kind of existence, maybe it's not something you can deal with. There is a spaceship over there, you can go and ask. The embarrassment only lasted for a short moment. Jia Yan spotted the spaceship sailing in the distance. After thinking about it, he kept his giant body moving forward. Looking closer, he saw that this spaceship was not small at all. It was at least 50 or 60 kilometers in size. It was not comparable to the largest spacecraft he had seen before. But compared to Jiayan, who has a body of 50 kilometers, the spaceship is not that exaggerated. Senior, I wonder what you mean by blocking my way. Inside the spaceship, a body several kilometers long flew out in an instant and greeted Jiayan respectfully. Even a little trepidatious. Because they are just star-level powerhouses. The beings coming in front of them are as unfathomable as the abyss. How can they have the slightest intention to resist? Haha, don't worry, everyone. I'm just here to ask for directions. I don't know where the nearest market or large gathering place is. I mean the kind that can be accessed by the galaxy level. Jiayan is very approachable and doesn't have the feeling of being distant from anyone who is a powerful person. Of course, this is because the other party cannot pose the slightest threat to him, and now he is asking for help, otherwise he would be a cold and frosty existence. Several stellar-level experts heard this and secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Since we are not here to take advantage of them, but to ask for directions, things will be much easier to handle. Perhaps this is your first time coming to the Northern Territory, right? We are also transporting goods from nearby forces. If you ask about the starry sky at the galaxy level, our goal is the same as mine, which is 5 light-years away. It's a border-crossing planet. Is it a port planet? I understand. Thank you for your advice. Jiayan smiled and nodded, and then entered the subspace under the watchful eyes of the restless caravan. Soon, the subspace was turbulent, and even the stars in the outside world could feel the amazing sense of energy. However, this energy disappeared quickly. What kind of existence this is? I just glanced at him, and I felt restless and had a terrible feeling of death. Hey, brother, you don't know. In this Northern Territory, there are really people with great abilities. They are great and powerful people who are stronger than the Territory Lord level. So I said, you follow. If I come to the Northern Territory, I can see the world, right? Yes, yes. I really listened to what you said. If you listen to what you said, you can really see the world when you come to the Great Northern Territory. Not mentioning how many stars there were, what was there with emotion on the spot was that after Jiayan entered the subspace, he ordered the palace to move forward and took him quickly to the customs clearance port planet. He knew that the so-called customs clearance port planet could not be just one planet. Because if there are really galaxy-level or even territory lord-level powerhouses living there, just one planet will definitely not be enough for their daily lives. It would be very difficult for a monster that is dozens of kilometers in size to survive even on a medium-sized terrestrial planet like the Earth because it is too small. Not to mention asking them to communicate and trade, it is even more difficult to use. Therefore, the so-called clearance planet is at most a nominally inhabited planet, and most of the transactions should be placed in the starry sky. It wasn't until Jiayan arrived at the destination that he realized that this was indeed the case. A large shady curtain completely covered the so-called customs clearance port area. There is only one planet that looks lonely, surrounded by a black screen, as if it is a ball that is not locked in a room, and it is very lonely. Jiayan didn't pay much attention to this planet, but went directly to the shady scene. In this dark scene, he felt the aura of a strong man. But it's only the domain lord level. Friend. What is the purpose of your coming to my customs clearance port? Suddenly, the territory lord level aura that Jiayan felt quickly flew out of the black curtain, came to the edge of the black curtain, and looked at Jiayan, who was about to enter the black curtain. Don't worry, I am a powerful traveler. I am here just for trading and gathering information. Jiayan smiled. Before knowing who had taken away the body of the white dolphin, it was impossible for Jiayan to reveal his true identity, so as not to alert others.